Ready to elevate your home? Picture this: central heating, a cozy fireplace, or your dream walk-in closet. Build a backyard oasis, go green with solar panels, or start a business. It's all possible with Figure's home equity line of credit. Unlock up to $400,000. Apply online in 5 minutes. Funding in as little as 5 days. Head to Figure.com and transform your home. Figure Lending LLC, DBA Figure, Equal Opportunity Lender, NMLS 1717824. Terms and conditions apply. Visit Figure.com for more information. For licensing information, go to www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
I normally find bras to be so uncomfortable and constricting, but Skims has changed that. You know I love Skims underwear, so I finally tried their bras, and Skims has delivered again. Skims bras are worth the hype for the amazing shape and support they give, but what I wasn't expecting was how comfortable they are too. I've tried so many bras in the past, and the main issue that I have is that they weren't supportive enough, to the point where they felt slouchy. I love my Skims wireless form bra because it's so comfortable and supportive. The older I get, the more I care about actually being comfortable in what I wear every day. And with my wireless form bra, I no longer have to sacrifice my comfort for the support I need. Shop Skims bras at skims.com, now available in 62 sizes, 30A to 46H. Plus, get free shipping on all orders over $75. If you haven't yet, be sure to let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows.
This episode brought to you by the following patrons: Min, Sex Caliber Bones a Lot, Madeline, Edward, Sunzi, Alyssa, Vixen, Holly, Natasha, Laura, Boezy, Jeremy, Allie, Mr. Ragebomb, Logan, Libby, Wes, Aaron, Kristen, Amy, Tia, Matthew, Jonathan, Isaac, and Karoon. And all the patrons want you to know you're loved, you're listened to, and you're a valuable member of this awesome horror virgin community.
Here is my laugh line / joke on the Wailing. A shaman, a Buddhist monk, and a priest walk into a bar.
I did love that we fully got a shaman off between two shamans.
Oh, that's my favorite part of the movie.
Me too. It was so fucking cool. Just started. I don't want to talk about it. Just started. We'll get into it, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, thank you for tuning into Horror Virgin. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd. And this week, you guys made us watch
The Wailing!
Which I thought was an interesting documentary on the whaling industry.
Yeah, ambergris. Who'd have thought?
Worth a lot of money.
So, was this the first time you guys saw this movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Same.
I think 6:30 a.m. on a Sunday is the way to watch this.
Mikey, I can tell you it is not. I struggled to stay awake during this movie.
I didn't struggle to stay awake, but I was like, I wish the sun wasn't here.
It is so painfully slow at points.
It is very long, yeah.
That I'm like, man, there is no good reason you can't, like, they did not cut 45 minutes out of this movie.
Yeah, you could cut an hour out of this movie.
It is so long. That being said, it is so well done and so good. Like, there's so much shit I love about this movie, but I do think the length sort of took me out of it. Also, I've said this before, reading subtitles can take me out of the scary shit that's actually happening on screen because I'm reading.
Well, and you have dyslexia, so it's an extra.
It's a struggle. You're not wrong.
Layer.
It is a struggle. So I don't think I'll rate this movie as high on the scary scale as I think a lot of people expect, but I think it's largely because of my own disabilities that pull me out of it.
I really enjoyed it. I see what you're saying. I think the first 30 minutes could have been a couple of scenes instead of, because it's basically the first half hour is this guy's a cop. He's not very good at it.
And he's not good. The first half hour is hot fuzz. And I was like, I'm here for this.
Well, and then he wanders into Family Annihilator scenes as a bumbling idiot cop.
Right?
And I was like, we only needed one of those to get the point of what's going on, but he does it 4 times.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's a lot.
But I mean, I thought it was fucking rad. I thought it was cool to see a movie that did different religions dealing with the same kind of spiritual warfare.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because none of them are false. All of them do have certain powers. We see the shaman doing things and the Japanese shaman doing things. I guess the priest or the deacon doesn't really do any spells or anything. He just confronts the demon at the end.
I loved the ending to find out that the shaman and the demon were working together to kill all these families.
Yeah, it was wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I was convinced. I was like, you've got to get back to your daughter before that rooster crows.
I was hit or miss because, like, I do feel like the first 30 minutes, bumbling cop, but then it's still super interesting. Like, as long as this movie was, I was never bored, but I think on a rewatch I would be. But like at the second act mark, I was confusion to the end of the movie and had to look up what happened. So
until the reveal.
Yeah, until you get like the shaman showing up and like running into the woman demon, right?
Right.
And he starts like blood and like foam shooting out of his mouth. That's when I started to like figure out like what actually was happening. So I was confused for like from Act 2 till then.
No, well, after that scene, I thought he was still good.
It could go both ways.
Yeah, I mean, I still had the question of who's good and who's bad, right?
But I've never seen a demonic whodunit, which it was like you have these like different spiritual entities and like which one do you trust? And I've never seen that, I think, on film.
Yeah.
I don't think so, yeah.
Or that I've enjoyed. And I thought it was beautifully shot. But then like when the shaman comes, I'm like, you were too late, buddy. And then he takes the pictures. I was like, he was working with the Japanese guy.
Yes. Yeah. Because it's like the
no.
exact same camera, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it does such a great job of like, because I'm like sitting there like you, Paige, like confused and thinking the whole time. Because like the flowers that the woman ghost puts up. I was like, that was at the house where the guy killed everybody over there.
Yeah.
So she's bad.
Yes.
But then he runs under it and they wither away and die. And I was like, is that good or bad?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Either way, it's ominous, baby.
Yeah. I did eventually read multiple articles, so I am solid on what happened.
Hell yeah. Good. I'm glad you are, because I'm like 80% I understood everything that happened in this movie. Like, that's where I am right now.
I got to the end and I was like, so the Japanese guy was evil? And
Yes.
then had to like backtrack.
Clearly. I mean, he was, I think, the demon.
Yes.
Or a demon spirit or whatever.
Sure.
And then the other shaman who shows up like Mercutio in this movie, and I only wanted more of him every time he was on the screen.
Rainbow sleeves and knife dances the whole way. I fucking loved that guy.
But he was in on it with the demon.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Which
It's wild.
Yeah.
when you start to go trace your plot circles back, don't. Because you can't, it don't hold up. The math don't math. But like, apparently, yes, that is what happened.
Oh, no. I think he teamed up with the demon to make a lot of money because he's like, it is going to be 10,000 to get rid of that demon.
Sure.
I think that's what they were doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too. The math that don't math is how the referrals happen. That's the math that don't math.
There are people who are afraid of like existential crises in their life, and so they turn to religion, and then those religions sometimes bilk them of money, like we see this guy do.
I get that part. The part that don't math for me is that we see that the shaman don't live local.
No.
Oh, no, I think he went to that. I think they go to smaller villages. He's got a nice apartment soul. I think he goes to smaller villages, puts up posters like local shaman ready to go. And then he's like, demon, now murder people. So like, I've got my posters up.
No, because we find out that it was word of mouth. Now, what we do see is that
That's the best advertising page.
It is.
a shaman, we don't know if it's the same, I assume it's the same, has been at every other crime scene. At no point do the police interview him. They are bad police.
We see them be bad police a lot, Paige. You're
We
right.
see them be bad police a lot. However, the reason they get connected with this shaman is because the grandmother talks to the neighbor.
Yeah.
The neighbor who ends up stabbed to death by their daughter. She never faces any consequences for that. It happens off screen. I don't know. Maybe she's waiting to stand trial. Who's to say?
Well, you know who else gets stabbed to death by their daughter in this movie? Anyway.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But that lady recommends a shaman from out of town that people in town don't seem to know. There's like a whole explanation about it.
Yeah.
And that turns out to be this other guy.
Who is in on it, right? Like,
Who is in on it. So my question, I needed one scene of he's the guy everyone goes to, not it's this other guy we heard about. Like, they go out of their way to be like, he's from out of town. And so I was like, wait, so they are working together, which I get why you would, but like, what are the odds that you would choose?
Apparently, There was an extended ending at one point that explained more of everything.
How could it be more extended than this?
Well, it like basically after this, the Japanese guy is at a bus stop and like talking to a little girl, and her mom comes and like protects her, and then the shaman comes and picks him up. Is like, we're going to the next town, and then they like ride off together.
Okay, I mean, like again, that's not the part that doesn't make sense to me. But they do explain that like they cast such a wide net that it's like he doesn't even know who he's gonna hunt. It just happens. And then they follow it up.
I did like that. It's like fishing. You throw the hook in, you see what you catch. Which the beginning of the movie makes sense with that explanation, right? Because we're seeing him fish at the very beginning.
I will tell you what the most fun mental exercise to do when watching this film is to be like, what would happen if this was American police?
Oh my God, I did that the whole time.
I thought to myself, if this is an American movie, it would have taken 20 minutes and every one of these people would have been shot by the cops.
100%. Well, I thought for sure, and again, it's because I had my American police hat on. I thought he was going to go home, find that his daughter had killed everyone, and in trying to stop her, he was going to kill his own daughter. The police are going to show up. Now he's the one guilty.
A family annihilation, even though he really only killed his evil daughter. Yeah. I thought it would be something like that too, but it's not.
Right, but no.
But also, I think an American protagonist, after you see a zombie with a rake through its head, you would just shoot first, ask questions later from that point of the movie out.
Well, nobody has guns.
I know.
Like that's a thing with Hot Fuzz, which I know has a ton of guns at the end. But like, that's a thing that they lay out in Hot Fuzz too, is like, it's unusual for that many people to have guns in that scenario. And I think in this movie, even more so, because the cops don't even have guns.
Right?
And so everyone's just like, hey, hey, can you calm down?
That fight scene with the zombie thing was hilarious to me on some level because, like, it took way too long. It was like a 10-minute fight scene.
So long.
But also it was sort of realistic because once everyone got attacked, they were all just like, it's not coming after me. I'm just going to stand here and scream and hopefully it goes away. And then it sort of just does die of like a zombie heart attack. So like, it's fine.
Yes. I feel like all the reactions in this movie are very natural and human, but un-American. And I mean that in that we are a reactionary violent people.
Oh, yeah.
I would have ran away from my friends if they were fighting that zombie.
Same.
Like,
Mikey,
gone.
I would have tripped you on my way past.
I'd be like, it's got Paige. We gotta go.
Hey, I have said, if a zombie's got me, run.
Yeah.
You run. Go.
Yeah.
I'm lost. Leave me behind.
Same for me. Although I do a lot of cardio, I think out of all of us, I'd survive.
I think so too.
Have you two ever watched a film where at the end you were like, remember that lynch mob halfway through? I wish they did a better job.
It's called The Beauty and the Beast, Mikey.
Through the mist, through the woods.
I do love that up to that point, we don't know if he is a bad demon or not. So like, I was like, man, this movie is largely about a like shitty local police officer who gaslights his town into murdering a Japanese professor who just wanted to retire in rural South Korea.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping he would turn into like a off the hinge American cop about halfway through the film.
Which is basically what happens, but with no guns.
Yeah.
But more violence. I wanted him to just kill everything.
Go full Rambo with it.
Yeah.
When they introduce the concept of the Japanese man being potentially evil and they start to go after him, my thinking was, I was like, I think this is unbridled racism. And I think maybe
I had that thought.
this movie is talking about how our biases blind us to what is actually going on. Maybe there's no demon at all, and they're just so racist. They're going to murder this innocent person and then oh no, he's a demon? Oh, fuck.
Well, he doesn't do himself any favors where he's like, well, just explain to me what you're doing here. You wouldn't get it.
You wouldn't believe it if I told you. Because, again, if he had explained it, he'd be like, I'm fully haunting your daughter for money.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And then in an American movie, they would have been like, this dog was unchained. You're under arrest for animal cruelty while we figure out if you murdered all these people.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I would have arrested everyone. I'd be like, round them up. I was like, put them in jail. We're going to find out what's going on.
That would have been a good idea, honestly.
Just everyone's gonna sit in cells while we sort this out.
Yes.
So are you a demon? Hold on. You just want to get home to watch WrestleMania and you're a shaman?
Damn it, Johnson, why'd you let him bring live chickens into the cell?
Like, 2 cops, yes, they illegally broke into that guy's house, but they don't have a 4th Amendment out there. I don't know.
And if this was America, they break the 4th Amendment roughly 5 times. They break into that guy's house so many times that he like repairs the doors, and then days later they come back with a pickaxe and he's like, fuck.
He's like, I just fixed that.
I just got new paper on the door.
I thought it was gonna be like 7 when they break into Kevin Spacey's place, but they don't have the evidence to find the place so that it wouldn't hold up in court. So they're like, they try to set it up where they could plausibly do it late. Like they had that whole side plot in 7. But these guys, they break in the house, they find photographs of all the victims before and after they died.
Right.
And they're like, let's just leave it alone.
Yeah, hey, let's just cut away from this scene immediately when the guy who owns the house that has that creepy cupboard shows up. They cut away from that.
Yeah.
What happened?
You have a grizzled police captain downtown.
I'm guessing they quietly backed out of the door and but yeah, nobody calls grizzled police captain. Nobody's like, we're staying here till backup comes. No, because they're not supposed to be out there.
Or there's 4 of us and there's one guy right there. Let's grab him and question him.
And True Detective would have been like, you all saw the dog get off the chain and we fell through the door and found all the photos of the victims. What a coincidence. Call it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carcosa. Yeah.
This was a little Carcosa-ish.
Yeah. But I think part of it because they're bad cops, right? Fully, they are just not good at their job.
They're terrible.
But I think they also weren't supposed to be out there because they talk about earlier that they're well, we're trying to find the dermatologist. We're talking to these people, and their chief captain, whoever, is just God damn it. I've had it up to here with your shit. Just come to work on time. Fuck. We got bodies dropping everywhere. So I think it was more we're not supposed to be all the way out here. But then there's a certain point in the movie where he just never goes back to work again.
Right.
He just was I'm done.
I liked it better when it was the police procedure. But I do think they dropped the ball with it because he's been okay, we need to call it in. Or him being I'm a terrible cop, but that's definitely the killer. We got to do something about it. But it turned out to be a demon. That would be a cool premise.
Yeah.
But like a True Detective style, they'd been fuck you, Captain. We had a gut instinct and we found him. And
if you're not going to go after it, here's my badge and my machete because nobody has guns in this movie, but everybody has machetes.
I don't even think they have machetes, Paige.
And my police tape.
Hey, there's a lot of machetes in this movie. A lot of machetes, a lot of knives.
I know, but I don't think the police carry them. They're not issued a badge and a machete.
I know, but that would be cool.
It's not even they have clubs or anything like that.
They're issued forehead tape that says police.
They don't even have tasers. Yeah, they just have hats that say police.
That he wears backwards at one point, and I was like, hell yeah, that's badass.
Hell yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
I'm the police, but I'm chill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That is the equivalent of him showing up to a school to talk about drugs and turning the chair around backwards to sit down. I was like, fuck yes, let's go.
The movie of my dreams, if I had a genie that I could make multiple wishes with, a lot of wishes.
Some say up to 3, Mikey.
I would need more because this would be up there on a wish that I'd like to see. I would like to see Mel Gibson's character from Lethal Weapon
in this world,
in this film, live this film.
He's the only one. He doesn't have guns, and he's furious about it.
Oh yeah. He's making slingshots and trying to build a gun. Yeah.
What would Lethal Weapon do in this and see where it goes in the mythos of the film?
Mikey, I desperately want you to ramble a premise like this at Paige and have her write that script.
Just where is AI where I want to see this film? Just I need...
Mikey, I would encourage you right now to go to ChatGPT and type that in and see what happens.
No.
Because I guarantee you it'll be trash.
But the same trailer on the beach where he does like cocaine because his wife died, but then he's like, damn it, another demon killed a family. And he got called out to the scene.
Yeah, that's why he did cocaine in that movie, Paige, because his wife died. You know, the very common drug you use when experiencing grief.
I think he was drinking in the trailer. I'm trying to remember the film.
He was definitely drinking. Although I do think Mel Gibson was doing coke in the trailer.
Sure.
But not the trailer they shot the movie in.
There's just so many scenes that would be so hilarious to see Mel Gibson, but he speaks flawless Korean.
For some reason, that's funnier to me.
That's the funniest part.
Yeah. But he still has like the feathered mullet, tan jacket, red shirt, jeans.
Everything else is the same.
And an empty gun holster on his arm that he keeps reaching for instinctually, but can't.
Shit. He's just walking up to crime scenes like, yo, Baseo. Like, what?
What?
Just him yelling at the grizzled captain in Korean, and he's like, damn it, Gibson. Too old for this shit.
I like how he refers to his captain as his actual legal name, the actor Gibson. I did love that this movie was the first time I'd ever seen like what I would assume is maybe like a Buddhist exorcism. I don't know. But any exorcism that wasn't like specifically Christian.
Sure.
And man, those are way more lit than like a Christian exorcism.
Lit AF.
Father Karras is out here all like the power of like Christ compels you. And these motherfuckers are at Burning Man. And like, I'm on board for that kind of exorcism.
And think about how many chicken tenders do you get to have afterwards.
There was pork, there was beef. Like they were having not only an exorcism, they were starting a barbecue. Guys. Yeah.
There was a point where he slits a chicken's neck, which I will let you know. No live animals are harmed.
I was gonna ask that because they have a goat there too, and I was like, "Fuck."
I double triple checked on it. No live animals are harmed.
I ate 3 eggs this morning, so like I don't have a moral high ground to stand on.
It's a good thing you didn't have a rooster with a lute in your yard.
Yeah,
you'd have had some fertilized eggs.
That was the other podcast.
You're not allowed to have roosters in Davidson County.
Well, that's because they'll be like fucking your eggs, man. You can't have eggs. Yeah,
no, I think it's because of the sound.
Oh wait, that was a Romancing the Pod. No one's gonna understand.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I was like, that was the other.
That was the leap year episode of Romancing the Pod.
Anyway, during the exorcism, he slits a chicken's throat and tosses it behind him, and it directly into a bucket, like trick shot. And I just instinctively, while watching, was like, Kobe. I was like, because I was already dancing to the exorcism music. Why was it the best part?
It was aggressively the best part. I loved it. Yeah, it was great.
Hey, our exorcisms are boring compared to this.
They're terrible.
So much color, better music.
There's no drum section at a Christian exorcism, and that is a problem. We've got to get that
is a problem.
Fixed. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Their Catholic exorcisms seem cool. He just brought a sigh.
Yeah, he brought a sickle. Was like, hey man, show me if you're a demon, or I'm gonna maybe use this. Or I'll just back away slowly. Like that was his gambit.
I thought he was there to kill him either way, honestly. But when he took the picture of him, he like was glamored or whatever it was. He couldn't stop him from what was about to happen to him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
At that point. Because the demon had control, but he shouldn't have talked to him. He should have just rolled up on him and killed him.
Yeah.
The intersection of all the different religions is something that this director specifically wants to explore in this movie.
I loved it.
Because it takes from both Korean and Japanese traditions as well as Nepalese traditions and Catholicism.
Yeah.
Now, the director of this movie goes on to produce a movie that Mikey and I debated this week whether or not we would watch this or the other movie, which is Medium, which is more recent, that people also recommended. And we chose this just because we had not done it. People had asked for it for a long time. It won awards at Cannes.
Yeah.
It is a very famous movie. And we were like, we should cover this because we have not done it yet. We will eventually do Medium also, especially after seeing this. I'm even more interested.
Same.
But yeah, way more fun. Imagine The Exorcist if the exorcism scenes were the ones in this movie. Like, it'd be a musical.
All right, but think about The Exorcism, but it's Mel Gibson.
I would also watch that.
But only if he speaks flawless Korean. Like that is very important to me.
I just want to see the scene where she like sits up in bed and he like just comes in and decks her and her head spins all the way around.
I mean, I can't stop thinking about it because like that girl would be throwing rocks at him. He'd be a Hawaiian shirt, no undershirt.
Yeah.
Hasn't slept, hasn't bathed, got his badge right here and just punches her.
Yeah.
And yells at her in flawless Korean. This is a crime scene.
So I'm just picturing it. And it's so funny to me. Oh God. I do, but here's the thing. As much as we're laughing about like how different our American sensibilities are within our relationship to the police, we're like, ha ha ha, why don't they have guns? And I was like, oh, less people probably die.
I mean,
You don't have to say probably, Paige.
Definitely.
Like, that's verifiable. You can just
Definitely.
look at how many people the U.S. police murder compared to, like, the South Korean police.
Well, yeah, you're like, I mean, our police have guns, but they got demons.
this film kind of would have been better if they would have shot all those people, you know?
It'd be over a lot faster. This movie would be 45 minutes long.
We got 0 demons.
I don't think we have 0 demons. I've seen Congress.
Paige, I can confirm we have 0 demons.
No,
They're just bad people.
I mean, sure.
If I was ever riding with police and my partner cried and fell on the ground and scrambled away when someone yelled at them, I'd be like, this guy's not a good police officer.
I'm sorry, do you think that's why he cried? He cried because he thought his daughter was going to get killed, right?
No,
No,
he cries like every crime scene
Yes,
he's at the
every
first
crime
45
scene.
minutes.
Oh, I thought you meant specifically the one on the rock. You're right. He a little emotional, but listen, sometimes you got a little cry out.
He's also just scared because that lady like runs at him and he's just like, ha, ha.
And like falls in the mud.
Like, oh no.
And the other cops are like, get up, dude, you're a cop.
Well, and so he's a sergeant and the other sergeants also sergeants. And he's like, Sergeant, help her. And the guy's like, what? This is our job. Like we both have the same job.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, you can't delegate something our boss told you to do to me, person who's the same rank as you.
Right. I do. The first 40 minutes of this are kind of a
Bumbling cop
hilarious
drama?
bumbling buddy cop drama.
Yeah.
Not mad at it. I laughed pretty hard through a lot of the beginning of this movie. And then it takes a real dark, serious turn.
It does, yeah. But maybe we should just get into it so we can go through it scene by scene.
Sure. We open with a title card of Luke 24:37 through 39. If you're familiar, the one where Jesus shows back up after being crucified. And they're like, oh my God, it's a ghost. And he's like, no, look at my hands and my feet. Clearly, I am here in the flesh with you.
Oh, that makes more sense now.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that you've seen the movie, you're like, do ghosts have bones?
No.
No.
Although, is that different over there?
I don't know.
I don't think he was a ghost. He was like a literal demon.
I think he was a literal demon too. Yeah.
Well, and she's the ghost,
Yes.
and she's not corporeal, and that's kind of the difference.
I don't know. She grabs his hand. I thought that too, but she grabs his hand at the end.
She grabs his hand.
But Paige, that's exactly what I thought it was until she grabbed his hand. And then I was like, oh, is she just like a smart lady they were trying to kill through shamanistic practices?
I don't know, maybe.
Like, I don't know who she is, but maybe just like Patrick Swayze, she had someone teach her how to move physical objects in the real world.
Maybe.
And that's what happened.
If we were here, we could have just shot her, shot the Japanese man, shot the shaman, shot all the families that were running towards them at the crime scene.
I mean, I do think it's funny that in all of our foreign movies so far this month, there have been evil children.
I'm sensing a theme.
I have made some picks.
The alarm goes off and he gets a phone call because somebody died. And at first I thought maybe he was the coroner and that's why they were waiting. No, he's just one of the police and just seems to show up whenever the hell he feels like it.
He's late a lot, and his boss lets him know. He's like, during his performance review, like, this is all we're talking about.
Does not meet expectations.
Yeah. Always makes up lies about mother-in-law or daughter being sick.
Yeah. Give us your badge and I guess that's it.
I don't even see them with handcuffs.
No, they do cuff this first guy in this scene.
Oh, that's right, because when he shows up, after his wife makes him eat, which I thought was funny.
He's like, I got to get to work. And they're like, no, wait, eat. And instead of being like, here's a power bar, they're like, sit down.
Yeah.
Have eggs.
I mean, he only protested once. He like when she's like, no, come eat. He was like, yeah, I could eat.
I could eat.
Which is weird because, like, I'm pretty sure he was called in an emergency.
He was.
Uh-huh.
And he even says that.
Yeah. But so they all like sit down to eat. And everyone's just like, who died? And he's like, oh yeah, that lady over at that farm, she's dead. Just telling them everything.
Oh, I don't think they have anything like HIPAA in South Korea based on this movie, because at one point, like a nurse or a nurse runs in and is like, hey, this specific patient needs you. They're having a seizure upstairs or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, maybe they just don't have like a privacy thing and the cops don't either. I don't know.
Who knows? I don't know. For the un-American listeners, the people who don't live here, we actually have laws about what you can talk about outside of cases at certain times. So like even to your, and again, I'm sure most police tell their families what's going on, but he's technically not supposed to be like, it's this person died, like this person died, we think this person did it. He's supposed to be like, someone died, I'm about to go investigate. Like that's, you're just not supposed to give the details.
Well, you don't want to compromise the investigation. If her friend was like the murderer or whatever.
Right. Well, and it seems like a small town because everybody knows everybody. So she like knows the victim. Like his wife and mother-in-law are like, oh, that lady? Man, wonder what happened.
Oh, she was so young. Like something like that.
Yeah. Anyway. And I do like that his mother-in-law randomly, and this never happens again the rest of the movie, just swears like a sailor in this scene where she's like, what kind of fucker kills people? Son of a bitch. And I was just like, hey, all right. Are we going to be friends? And then she's never that cool again.
No.
She's not, but she's the one who does call bad shaman into town.
Right. From the Yellow Pages or whatever.
I honestly, Paige, as you started talking about him at the beginning, I was seeing like the personal injury lawyer style commercial for this shaman in my head. And man, I loved it. I was like, oh,
on the back of a bus.
Yeah.
Like, hurt by a demon? Call us.
Has your daughter been haunted? I like that kind of shit. Yeah.
Solino and Barnes, injury, shamans, 100-888-8888. Yeah, just like.
It's Shamania month. It's half off.
Heck yes. If you call during the hour of the dog, we'll get you through for free.
Yeah, what hour is that? In my mind, I was like, afternoon.
It's the hour you guys let me come over to your apartment. Know what I'm saying?
Hey,
lady.
It's K9 o'clock, Paige. Duh.
Oh, fuck. I don't think that's what it is, but it makes fun joke sense.
Oh, if it does happen to be 9 o'clock, that is a very lucky guess. Like I do not know. That was just for the joke.
I'm gonna Google it. What is the hour of the dog? 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. is the hour of the monkey. 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. is the hour of the rooster.
Yeah.
7 p.m. to 9 p.m. is the hour of the dog.
Oh my God! That's amazing. You're welcome.
9 p.m. to 11 p.m. is the hour of the pig, allegedly, just from my cursory Google.
Well, that's because after a little bit of K9 o'clock, you've you feel like you've been skewered like a pig.
Anyway, he finally gets to the crime scene, and his boss is just like, God damn it, I'm tired of this shit. Where the fuck have you been? There's 2 corpses. Like, now there's multiple deaths. It's not just the one. And he's like, where's the captain? He's like, he went to Seoul. It's just me, and we got to figure this shit out. All this stuff seems to happen within the span of like a week while the captain's away, which I do think is really interesting.
It is very quick because we only see the captain at the beginning, really, and then he's gone.
We don't even see him at the beginning. We never meet him. He is just
that's right.
to Seoul.
That's right.
Yeah.
The guy who I was thinking was the captain is actually just like the guy who's in charge when the captain's away.
Right.
Yeah.
And that guy's just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, quit fucking around. Yeah. Anyway, they get down to the crime scene, and another family member is there having a very emotional response to the death.
Not to use the title, but they are in fact wailing. Like they are
Wailing.
screaming in grief. Like it is very sad.
He's got a harpoon, the whole thing.
Gotta get that lamplight, Paige.
Yep.
The wailing is a really good way to describe that sound of grief that families have. I've been on a lot of scenes where I've heard it, or like had to tell someone died and stuff. Yeah. And it's not fun.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone looks forward to that, man. That would be the hardest part of it.
This movie does a kind of a realistic job, like as a first responder responding to those scenes, not as a bumbling idiot, but like, sometimes there's one, but like of just like dealing with families and dealing with the scenes and stuff. It was a little bit more realistic than I was anticipating, but that's why I was like, but what would Mel Gibson do in this situation? He would slap her and tell her to stop crying in flawless Korean.
He would yell, calm down in perfect Korean and then slap her across the face.
How do you say sugar tits in Korean?
His scene where he tries to de-escalate a guy from stop trying to make him jump off a building.
Oh, when he cuffs him and then makes him jump?
Yes.
Yes. That is the most insane part of Lethal Weapon. It's the first one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. Guys, if we ever get more free time, we have to do an action movie podcast because I want to talk about shit like that.
So the cops are there. The guy is wailing and yelling at the man that they believe to have done the crime.
Who was not even cuffed.
Not even cuffed. And it seems to be catatonic, just not responsive.
Why did they cuff anybody in this movie?
I actually thought they did cuff him. I can't remember, though.
They do cuff him. Not yet, though. They cuff him in a few minutes, but he's just sitting there.
Yeah. I think they do eventually cuff him, though, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I thought so. But no, I mean, while the dad, I'm assuming it's the dad, is yelling at him.
It's the uncle.
Oh, is it the uncle? That's right. But like, there's no cop trying to stop that from happening. There's no cop trying to secure the suspect.
They're holding him back.
I know, but they're not like pulling him away to a different location.
Yeah, no, they're like, just stand 10 feet back. Yeah.
Please hurl your insults from 4 feet away, no closer. That is the Fourth Amendment here in South Korea, apparently, because there is nothing saying you need a warrant for a cop to enter any domicile.
Yeah, I honestly think they were waiting for our main character to get there because they needed multiple people to try and cuff him. But the guy's not resisting. They literally just like stand him up, slap the cuffs on him, and lead him away. And then they start searching the house.
Yeah.
And they're like, holy shit, she was stabbed like 20 times. But also this guy was killed somewhere else and dragged here.
Yeah.
So like, why? And then like, so he's the relative, but he wasn't there. And then the kid that they've cuffed has like a terrible rash over his entire body.
Yeah.
And is just unresponsive. And at this point, they're like, I think he must be high on something. Because at this point, it seems like maybe it's a zombie movie of some sort.
Well, and a lot of people are talking about the mushrooms. There's even sort of like a scary, maybe not scary, but like tension building moment where he goes to touch the like fungus flower looking thing at that scene.
That's the flower that the ghost puts up at the end.
Yeah. So, but he doesn't touch it. But like, and I don't know that he would have gotten infected or anything. Like, I don't think it's the mushrooms, but they do sort of plant that seed, pardon the pun, early on.
Yes. Well, and now having seen the entire movie, I think the ghost woman is also investigating the crimes.
Me too.
Like, and that's why she's around.
Yeah, that's why I was like, maybe she's just like a shaman too. Maybe she's just like
she's just super into true crime. She's like, I have a podcast.
She's like, I do true crime podcasts about shamanistic experiences. So
don't drink the blood of whatever he cut over your face after ruining your soy sauce.
You guys know the song. Don't drink the blood. He does blood over your face that was in the soy sauce that's in the jar thing. Yeah. She's the Korean version of Paige Wesley is what we're saying. That's the joke.
She needs to eat all of those killed animals. Ketchup.
And mustard.
Anyway, they're like, we don't even know what to do. Like, what is happening? There's like blood all over the walls and symbols and stuff. Like, it is fucked up. And they're like, what is this? Like, this is so far beyond what we are used to in this small town. We don't even know what to do. And they don't even have like a forensic team. So they're just like, I guess take pictures of everything.
But careful what camera you use, right? I did love that, like, I mean, they really point out how bumbling the whole police force is because as they're looking for clues, that guy grabs the murder weapon with his bare hands.
Oh, my God.
I was like, what are you doing?
And they're like, we should wrap it in cloth, right? And I was like, oh, my God. Chain of custody disturbed.
I thought for a second we were going to find out that, like, he was involved in that murder and that's why he did that to, like, oh, I didn't mean to grab it. That's why my fingerprints were on it. But no, he's just a terrible cop.
Yeah.
But picture that scene with Mel Gibson beating the shit out of him in a burned house for touching the knife.
I mean, that is what would happen. He'd be like, damn it, Riggs, but in perfect Korean.
Yeah.
He's gonna get away with it because you tainted evidence.
But they literally are just, they have a scene that's like them not smoking, but they might as well be just like, oh my God. Title card. The Wailing.
Yeah.
We cut to a guy walking through the forest, like a camper / hunter kind of thing. And he has snared some sort of a deer and killed it. So he's trying to lift it up to carry it home. He loses balance, falls down a hill, knocks out.
Brutal.
When he wakes up, there's somebody in the forest, seemingly naked, although we will find out they have a diaper, who is eating the dead deer carcass raw and making growling noises, but is definitely human.
It's very animalistic looking, though, but he is human.
Right.
Which obviously scares this dude who just hit his head really hard and is like covered in like dried blood. So he's been passed out for a while.
Right.
Like, that would be a fucking terrifying thing to wake up to.
Oh, yeah.
Like even more scary than like a few wolves eating the deer, right? Because that you can just sneak away from. A human doing that, you're like, what is happening? Like, this guy's definitely gonna try and kill me. Like, yeah, terrifying.
Well, if you like people covered in dried blood, this is the film for you.
Oh, yeah. Like, if you have that specific fetish.
If you want to have so much dried blood that you stop being able to tell characters apart, this is the movie for you.
The bad shaman who's working with the demon that's revealed at the end, when he leaves having thrown up on his face, he never wipes his face.
Never cleans it.
Like, it drove me insane that there was that much caked on blood for the rest of the movie for him because, like, you would wipe your fucking face off. Like, you would, like, with your sleeve or anything. It blew my mind that he did not at all do that.
For me, the craziest one was the lynch mob.
Yeah.
Because, like, they like go around the table and you're like, okay, the guy who told the story, the other cop, and you're like, the priest kid, okay, that, like, we've got our band of brothers, right?
Yeah.
They go out there and once they get attacked, there's blood everywhere. and like when we get to the end of the attack, they're just looking around and everyone's covered in blood and you're like, fuck, who got bit? Like,
all of them. Literally everyone got bit.
It's really tough to tell it apart.
Yeah.
The priest got bit.
Yeah.
The priest got bit.
On his face. Yeah.
Anyway, so this dude wakes up, sees the naked man eating things, climbs behind a rock, but the naked man is like eating, and then like looks up at him. And I was like, oh no. And he like ducks behind the rock and then looks back and the guy's gone. And I fully expected him to be like right there. And I was like, he's right there, Todd. But instead, he climbs over the rock in a shot that would look wild in 3D. And it made me wonder if at some point they were like, this needs to be in 3D. This would have been the wildest 3D movie ever.
It does not need to be in 3D. But this shot, even though it wasn't a jump scare, was still very scary. Like, I actually, there aren't a lot of jump scares in this movie. So, like, I was thankful for that. But this whole thing was very good at building tension and, like, it earned the scare, but it was scary.
It was
scary.
scary.
And we immediately cut to this guy telling the other cop about it. So it's Jong-gu and his partner, like the other cop. And the partner cop is just like, yeah, I heard it's the old Japanese guy that lives out in the woods because you know the Japanese people. And you're like, that seems passively racist. And that's going to continue the entire movie.
I don't think it's passively, really, when it's like
it's
that
overtly.
blatant. Yeah,
it's
like
overtly racist.
I mean, listen. This movie does tell us that he's right to be this way in this movie.
Which is wild.
But I do think it's funny because at the end it sets it up like, hey, who should we fear most? Foreigners or women? And it's like, guys, it's foreigners and religion.
And
so like,
women.
Yeah, it's like everything.
Shrug.
Yeah.
The woman was the good guy.
And yet they didn't believe her.
Right.
Cassandra, prophetess of doom. He's like, that's ridiculous.
Right.
It's just a creepy old man. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
He's just a dude, right? But as they're telling the story, there's a storm outside. The lights go out and they immediately freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
So, okay. I read this as the main character trying to prank the other cop because I was like, oh, he's way over the top with this about like, oh my God, what is it? And I was like, he's got him. That's what I would do to Todd.
It is what you would do to me. And I had that thought too, because we don't see the woman at the door initially.
Right.
We hear the reaction to it, which is scary, but also it's a way of not doing a jump scare, which I like really appreciated. It was still scary, but it could have been way scarier.
No, when they cut to the window, I jumped a little bit.
That's what I mean.
You can see her.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like you can see her, but not until after the reaction to him seeing her.
Yeah, it's because they pointed out.
Yeah,
yes.
I thought it was a prank. I thought he was pranking the other one because the other guy freaks out. And he's like, oh my God, what is it? It's at the door. And he's like, oh my God.
No, they're just both pussies. Like they're both like cowardly lions who are working as police. And maybe this is not the best job for them.
And like, it's hard for me to imagine a cop, like a person like doing that at a police station here and then like them just like letting it go for the rest of the day. I mean, I'd be like, pull the footage. Let's see which direction they walk.
They would have been like, why does the police station no longer have windows? Oh, because we all got scared and shot out our own windows. That's how that shit would have ended. They were like, how's this lady who was just coming to us for help dead in front of the police station? Well, the lights went out. And we fired indiscriminately.
I don't know if they would have shot her, but they wouldn't have been like, let's just stay in here and not even go check and see if she needs help or see which direction or search for her.
They do eventually come to their senses, but she's gone by that point. They don't even look for her at all, though. They look out the front door and they're like, she's gone. I'm sure she's going to be fine.
Why should we look for a confused naked person wandering in the storm?
It's not like that's part of our job.
I do think it's funny that they're like, man, I hope she gets help.
From who? Maybe that's why she came to you.
That's literally why you have a paycheck, sir. This is your job.
I've literally gone in storms searching for naked people before. I was like, they're just going to let that go, I guess.
Oh, man. Plus, naked people in storms, harder to catch, slippery.
Easy to point out, though. In the day.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Anyway, we cut to Jong-gu waking up from a horrifying nightmare. But he's screaming dirty slut whore as his wife is like, what were you dreaming about?
I know. I do think that it was funny he woke up and said those words, but they're not said in a sexy way.
Right.
So he's screaming and clearly scared, had a nightmare scared.
Right.
So I was like, was he fucking a demon? What
I don't know.
Was happening? Anyway, I mean, we see what was happening, right? We saw the dream he woke up from at this point, don't we? Or is that the next time it happens?
I think we heard this one too.
We kind of, it's always the Japanese man as a demon is who he is scared of.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird that he's like slut whore, and it's like, I didn't know you were into him that way.
But the mother-in-law and wife do sort of look at him like, what the hell, man?
What are you dreaming about? Anyway, so we cut to he and his wife having sex in the car. Because his mother-in-law lives with them, their daughter lives with them, it seems like there's not a lot of privacy.
Right.
And I think this is probably the only time they can,
get one in, as it were.
Get one in, because otherwise their kid would walk in on it, which is exactly what happens. She's at the window of the car hello.
I mean, they do finish up first.
Yeah, they do finish.
There's in various states of undress, but they're done with the act by the time she gets there.
I mean, you do see her wipe with a receipt, and I was like, that was too real.
Classy.
Paige, I was also like, oh, yeah,
wow,
I've seen that
they're
before.
going for realism in this.
Yeah.
I was like, it must have been a CVS receipt.
So, okay, that was his wife, right?
Yes, that's his wife. Yeah, he's not cheating on her. No, they're just trying to get away to a private place where they can have sex in the car. Yes.
That was a seductive laundry squat she was doing earlier.
That's how they sit, Mikey. That's them just sitting down.
Oh no, but when they frame that scene when he wakes up, I was like, oh, she's giving him the eyes while she's doing the.
Oh yeah. She was like, hey, you want to make it to the back of the caddy? You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
But also, as a homeowner, I mean, this person obviously goes under Todd's philosophy of we have to leave the house to have sex if a child's at home.
I was thinking the same thing.
I mean, the walls are literally rice paper thin over there, guys. It's really.
Well, not everywhere, but
I know,
we see
I know,
in this
I know,
film,
I know.
in this house.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the case.
But it's a big complex. There's multiple buildings.
I know. But I feel like they're worried that their daughter could get into any of them, or the mother-in-law, or something. I viewed it as this is our only chance. we gotta go out here.
Yeah.
But yes, because it was Todd's philosophy. We can't do it in the kitchen.
I'm sorry, I don't want to have sex in front of a child. I don't feel bad about
Not
that.
intentionally.
That is a wild jump from what we're talking about.
That's exactly what happens in this movie. Is they did have sex in front of a child.
Mm-hmm. They took Todd's way and had sex in front of a child.
You can't say that having established that I'm hey, if there's a child in the home, maybe don't fuck in the kitchen or in the general rooms of the house.
I'm saying maybe if they went to one of the rooms and shut the door, they would have not gotten caught as opposed to the car in the driveway, or as I call it, Todd's way.
Okay.
Anyway, they take the little girl shopping for toys after to be like, I know you just saw something that's probably going to scar you for life. And hopefully if I pay for these toys, I won't have to pay for therapy later. We cool?
He's going to end up having to pay for both. Actually, he's not. but
That's true.
largely because of what happens to his family.
Everyone's gonna
But
die.
Yeah. This honestly just serves to show that he is like a good, attentive, loving father, and they have a good, loving relationship.
Yes, they are very sweet together. And like the scene where she's trying to get him to drink her soda is very, very cute.
Yeah.
And
It is.
it was very sweet. But no sooner have they bought her silence with toys that he gets a call that there's been another death. And this is the burned out house with the old woman covered in ashes because she was just like in the house fire. And they like put the fire out and she's like, now I'm going to bite everybody.
Yeah, she is also experiencing the same grief that we saw at the first murder scene he got called to, right?
Right.
Like, it's the same scene, same beats, more or less, except he's late to this one. And she's like, and he gets yelled at for being late by the dispatch captain. And then she, like, this wailing lady who's covered in ash, like, sort of attacks him.
She attacks everybody, but also they have a guy on a stretcher that they think is dead. And he gets up and attacks people. So he's like not dead anymore.
Right.
So that would probably be the one that I shot.
Stay down.
You know, once they're dead and they come back, you know, that's where I've drawn a line in the sand.
You get a freebie on that one.
I do think you might get a freebie on that. Like, I think that might be fair. Like, if they're dead and they come back, you might have to double tap them.
But were they dead? That's the,
I don't think they were. I think they had smoke inhalation, but were saved in time, and then were coming to very freaked out.
Well, no, I think they maybe were dead, like the guy that the lynch mob encounters, like a zombie, as it were, but not really possessed.
Do you think the ash-covered lady was also a zombie, or was she just wailing? Okay.
No, I think she was possessed also.
Well, she was trying to bite too. That's the reason I ask. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're both possessed.
I think we should have shot them all and let God sort it out.
No. Oh, dark. Calm down, Mel Gibson.
That's what Mel
WWMGD. What would Mel Gibson do? Probably very racist and problematic
or sexist.
things. Yeah.
It's the Japanese man at the edge of town. Let's get him.
Okay, you know what? I do think he sort of fits in with this movie on some level because of that. Yes.
Yeah.
And also the misogynistic part of it also could be just the woman.
You know, all women lie.
This really does have you guys seen the documentary on Netflix called Victim/Suspect?
Yes.
It's got that kind of vibe. Lazy cop turning it on the victim.
I would assume the next town hall meeting at this little village had similar discussion.
Yeah, I think so.
We have to fire every cop, right? Like, they're not doing anything.
Well,
yeah.
At the end of the movie, all of the cops that we've met, except for the guy in charge, are dead.
I know.
So, like, at that point, he's just like, I'm tired of cleaning up your shit. Why has nobody been to work in like a week?
Oh, they all murdered their families.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Well, I mean, statistically.
So, crime scene, everybody's biting everybody. They can't get a hold of the one lady who's biting people. And at one point, she takes off into what we assume is a crowd.
Yeah.
That is watching the crime scene. And we just hear, oh, from the crowd. And we never see her again. But the implication being she just like ran into the crowd to bite people. And we just hear it off screen and see all the cops turn and be like, oh, damn it.
You'll be fine.
That's right. Don't worry about it.
Although, can I pitch this? This would have been the perfect scene for the Mel Gibson introduction in our movie, because as the woman who's biting people runs into the crowd, it just would have been him decking her and being
stepping
like,
out of the crowd.
Yeah, and stepping out of the crowd like, I've been transferred from Seoul, but in perfect Korean.
I'm on loan from the LAPD in flawless Korean.
It's like a foreign cop exchange program.
Yeah, yo baseo. Like, what? No.
He's like, cuff everybody. I don't know why you don't cuff everyone here.
He's got like 6 sets of cuffs. Just like, you get a cuff. You get a cuff. Anyway, as they're processing the scene, he sees the old Japanese man watching from the crowd.
Yeah.
And we cut to later that day. He is a mess. And his daughter shows up at the police station with a change of clothes.
Hang on, I have a question if you don't mind.
Sure.
No, go for it.
Was the Japanese man there overlooking something that he caused? Like, is that what that is telegraphing?
Oh, yeah, he gets off on all that. I think he likes the wailing.
Ooh, yeah. So I sort of understand why he was there, like sort of returning to the scene of the crime stuff, but that sort of makes sense,
Serial killer, yeah.
Why did John Go suspect him?
Because he'd already heard that one story about him in the forest.
Okay.
And in addition to that story, everyone's talking about the old Japanese man. They think he's causing all the deaths. And he's like, why would that be the case?
Yeah.
But then he shows up at the crime scene.
And then the next story they hear is like he raped a woman randomly and all.
Well, that's I think what we see at the beginning, right? We see that start. We don't see the rape actually happen, right?
We don't see the rape until here.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
As like a story flashback that may or may not have happened. We don't know. Because it's a different person telling something they heard from a different person.
Right.
And it's actually like literally.
It's like hearsay.
Well, and it's 1 or 2 scenes from now. So give me just a second. We'll get to it.
Okay.
So he takes the clean clothes from his daughter. She leaves, but she drops the hair barrette that he bought her because she saw him and his wife having sex. So he, as he bends down to pick up the hair clip at the door, realizes he's like, the woman whose house burned down, I've seen her before. She was the naked woman outside from last night.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you think we maybe should have found her in that storm?
Do you think we maybe should have offered aid as policemen of this small rural town? Yeah, you should have.
You don't say. But the next day, as they're going back to the crime scene, there's a woman hanging from a tree on the way to the crime scene. And there's another woman kind of hanging around the crime scene throwing rocks at them, which I think is pretty fun.
Well, okay, so the lady hanging from the tree is the old lady who ran screaming into the crowd trying to bite people, correct?
No, different lady.
Damn, okay, so it's shot in a way that like you can't really see her face. You just see it's a lady hanging in a tree.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't sure.
But this is the lady the woman that we will reveal as a ghost at the end of the movie.
So I looked up how she was billed. She's billed as the mysterious woman.
Yes.
So I wonder if she is just a lady, like a shaman, but like a lady.
She could be.
Like a lady.
But she shows up and she's like, well, she is wearing white.
True.
Which in Korean means she is a ghost. So.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Sorry. Some of that culture stuff I don't know because I didn't grow up in it, but that makes sense.
Yes, because here, when you wear that, means you're a racist.
Or not afraid of getting stains.
Or getting married. Guys, a lot of reasons to wear white.
It all depends on the headwear.
Yeah, it does.
The headwear is very important because, like, is it a full hood that covers the face? That's a racist.
Sure.
Is it just a fish hat? That's the Pope.
If it's a veil, it is a wedding dress.
Right.
I'm trying to find audio for this so I can pronounce it correctly. Don't think I'm going to be able to find it. Chimmuguyon, that's probably wrong, means you have the right to remain silent.
You know who could say it perfectly? Mel Gibson in our movie.
Good. There is a Korean version of the Miranda rights.
Oh.
I found it on Quora. Quora! It is in Korean, so I can't read it, unfortunately. So while they're at that crime scene, that's the one where they're looking for the murder weapon he picks up with his bare hands.
Oh, yeah.
And it's evidence.
It's not our main cop guy. It's one of the other cops. Yeah. But I mean, our cop guy does yell at him. He's like, "You're an idiot. Like, put on gloves or grab it with a rag or something. Like, like you're actually supposed to do."
Yeah. And we cut from there to Jong-gu goes to lunch with a friend who I think owns a restaurant because they go back to this same place a couple different times.
That's where I think he rallies up the locals to go do the lynch mob thing. And I think it is the owner that he's talking to in this scene.
But the owner is also the one that's spreading a lot of these stories about the Japanese man.
Yeah.
And this is where he's like, he raped a woman. And as he's telling the story, we get the flashback of the fishing and maybe that, is how that happened. But it was the woman whose house burned down. He says that she went crazy after that and would run around naked at night. Now, we have seen her naked at night, so we're like, that tracks. But she also had rashes and boils and seemed to be incoherent most of the time. So Jong-gu is like, these are rumors. This is ridiculous. But he still takes it back to his police partner because he's like, this is now 2 people in 2 crime scenes that have had rashes, like noticeable ones. Maybe we should check into that. Because right now their only theory is psilocybin mushrooms because they found it in the blood of one of the guys, the first guy that killed his family.
Yeah.
And they will announce later in the movie, just in the background on the news, that there was like tainted mushroom tonic. So I do feel like there's 100% a way to read this movie that is, it was the mushrooms and this is all kind of in his head, but...
Yeah.
I mean, that could be. And we do see him drink that mushroom tonic, I guess, maybe, for lack of a better term, a few times.
Yeah.
Wild. Okay. Has the director or writer said anything?
I couldn't find anything that confirmed it. The director has mostly said that his main theme that he was exploring in this movie is the intersection of different religions.
Yeah, that is pretty clear. Yeah.
He cut that like extended ending to make it more ambiguous.
Yeah.
Of like who was good and bad or what actually happened.
Oh shit. I thought that was a bit, Mikey. I thought you were making a joke.
No, that was real.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That would make it way more ambiguous.
Yeah. He explicitly shown the demon and the shaman working together and then targeting kids and stuff. So it was.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so we cut back to the crime scene because now they're there watching the crime scene again. So at the crime scene, this is where the girl is throwing rocks at them all morning.
Yeah.
And eventually, and he sends his partner to go talk to a local dermatologist. And eventually, Rock Girl, which we cut back to his chair and there's rocks all around it.
I love that cutback because it's clear she's been throwing rocks at him for at least 15 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's so many rocks.
Not even like at him necessarily, near him.
Right.
Which I wonder if you know, like looking back, oh, she is a ghost. If you know why she was doing that culturally and they just don't explain it. Because I would have loved for there have been a reason for why she was throwing rocks over there towards them and staying away. You know?
I think she was trying to get his attention.
I mean, she got it.
Yeah, because as soon as he's like, can you stop fucking throwing rocks at me? She's like, the lady killed them all. I was here. They'd called a shaman to do some ritual, but the lady ended the ritual before it was over, and that's why they all got killed. And she just walks into the crime scene. He's like, hey, that's a crime scene.
Yeah.
But he follows her through, and she takes him through and is like, they got killed in here. The old woman got the worst of it. This is what happened to so-and-so. This is what happened to this guy. And the old woman tells me that the Japanese man was a ghost, and he's going to try and suck her blood dry. So be careful, because if he's following you, it means he's stalking you. And his phone buzzes. He calls his partner, is like, I've got a fucking witness. But then he turns around and she's
a
gone.
Ghost. Oh, sorry. Gone. Yeah, gone. Sorry. Yeah.
Right. But then he does run through the house and sees what he perceives to be the Japanese man eating people or bodies or something in the back of the house. And he chases him into the crime scene. We cut to, it was a nightmare. He wakes up, weird dreams. His daughter has a fever. And he's like, why didn't you take her to the hospital? But as they're like talking about it, there's like an evil cat sound in the attic.
Yes. It almost sounds like a cat is like fighting, you know?
Right. Yeah. But he gets to work. No one can find the witness that he talked to. She has disappeared into the mist. But this is also where we get a little bit of a news clip that's like family tragedy linked to mushrooms. So it's throughout the movie. There's a couple touches of like, it could be the mushrooms, but no one confirms.
See, I thought the mushrooms were like what the police are telling the community.
Sure.
You know,
that's possible.
But I mean, you're right. It could be that they are causing
because they do make an arrest in tainted mushroom tonic later in the movie that also shows up in a news thing.
Yeah.
That's what the good captain's been up to.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to track down this mushroom tonic. It's killing people. What are you working on? I think it's a demon. I'm going to kill the foreigner in town.
Damn it, Django!
Except he's Mel Gibson.
That's
that
true.
Makes it even funnier. Yeah. The rest of the department's like, it's tainted mushrooms. It's the foreigner. I'm going to his shack.
Oh, God.
Bring your pitchforks.
I think it's funnier as like a foreigner there in South Korea saying it's the foreigner.
Right,
the Japanese
yes.
foreigner. That to me is funnier. Although, who would we cast as Mel Gibson? Because it has to be someone who like can pull off that like.
It'd be Mel Gibson.
No, he's too old now.
No.
I'd still watch it.
No, it's Mel Gibson. He's like, I'm going to get the priest and we're going to see the foreigner at his shack.
I learned Korean for this.
I feel like Glenn Howerton in a mullet wig could pull it off, though.
I would watch that too.
Yeah.
I would watch it
Halfway
too.
through, Rob McElhenney comes in and takes over it with no explanation.
No explanation.
And then Glenn Howerton shows up as the captain coming back at the end from Seoul.
No. Just 1988 Mel Gibson.
If I had a time machine, Mikey, I'd go get him and make that happen for you.
Well, that's the thing. Like, what are we doing with that? We could be doing this stuff now.
Mikey, I don't know if you know this. Time machines don't yet exist.
No, but deep fake technology does. Give us the Mel Gibson wailing we deserve.
And all they've done is like pornography and like political, like.
Yeah, you guys are making lewds of Taylor Smith with AI. You should be out here making Mel Gibson from the 80s in the Wailing.
Exactly.
You're wasting your time.
People would be like, we should get rid of this technology. Be like, have you seen this? This opens things up for us.
Yeah.
It would just be called the Yailing, like, because he yells a lot.
You just Photoshop guns into the movie.
This is Mikey from Horror Virgin. I practiced this ad for Factor in my car today.
Can you show us what you practiced?
Yeah. Mikey from Horror Virgin here to talk about Factor.
Nailed it.
I have used Factor on and off the last couple of years, especially since 2020. My work is very busy. I have a very busy day job.
He does.
I have a very busy hobby / second job called podcasting.
Yeah, it's so much work for you.
Eating healthy is hard. I'm single. Cooking single is hard. And I've loved Factor. Other people, they ship you ingredients. You have to cook them. It takes a long time. Factor, they ship you fresh, never frozen meals.
And it always only takes 2 minutes, which is like my favorite thing. I never have to think about how long it has to go in the microwave. It's 2 minutes.
That's what my dating profile says. Always 2 minutes. It's helped me eat healthier, though. They have a bunch of like dietary options, like low calorie or protein or keto. Is it keto? Keto?
Mikey, you said it wrong so many times, I'm not sure if I remember how to say it right. It's keto, right?
Keto. No, it's keto. It's keto. But anyway, Factor's amazing. So
just head to factormeals.com/horrorvirgin50 and use code horrorvirgin50 to get how much percentage off, Mikey? Were you paying attention?
50.
Damn, 50% off. Literally half off. That's code horrorvirgin50 at factormeals.com/horrorvirgin50 to get 50% off.
So he meets up with his partner, and his partner's like, hey, the dermatologist didn't know. All those people got referred to the hospital because their cases were more serious. And he's like, okay, do you know the guy who saw the naked man eating the deer carcass? And he's like, yeah, he runs the herbs and tonic shop, which is where a lot of the mushroom tonic is coming from, by the way.
Yeah, naturally, yeah.
So they go to talk to him, and he's like, I got stitches, and I haven't been hunting since, and I'm about to sell the store. This traumatized the hell out of me. I swear it's a real thing. And they're like, we don't super believe you. You're going to have to take us out there. So he takes them out to where he saw this happen. And there's a bunch of deer carcasses, and there's clothing, and the house is right over the hill. So like clearly he wasn't lying.
Right.
And he's like, okay, well, I'm not going to stick around to see that shit again because it ruined my life. So I'm going to leave. And a storm starts, and they're like, you can't leave. He's like, no, I'm going to leave. And he goes to walk off and gets struck by fucking lightning.
Which, okay, so like if you have just as a police officer assaulted a man and he's like, I'm going to get you both fucking fired. And then that man on the way to get you fired gets struck by lightning. You must be like, damn, somebody up there likes me. Thank you. Million to 1 shot, Zeus. Thank you so much. Keeping my job today.
Well, and I do love that they get to the hospital and they're like, all the health tonics, and he gets struck by lightning, which I do kind of love as like a mini metaphor in the movie of just like, hey, all of the beliefs that you have sometimes can't stop you from getting struck by lightning, which is a wild thing that happens in this movie.
I mean, it is a very nihilistic repeated message in the film of like, no matter what you do, evil can find you. But like, it was hilarious in this moment.
I lost my mind. I was laughing so hard.
I laughed as well. I was like, man, Zeus just saved their jobs.
At least they took him to the hospital.
Well, and up to this point, it's like they're terrible at their jobs. They're not protecting the crime scenes. They are no closer to solving this than they were before. And then a guy just gets struck by lightning. And you're just like, wow, okay. But I think the main purpose of that is to get them to the hospital while the next thing is happening. Because this is where a nurse comes in and is like, hey, that guy from the first murder, he's coding in a real fucked up way.
Yeah.
And they're like, huh? So they all run to watch. And he basically contorts until his own bones break and chokes on his own blood.
Dude, when the blood comes out of the respirator mask,
yeah,
because it's like he's got oxygen on his face. He's got a little mask around his like nose and mouth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then as he's like laying backwards, like off of the hospital bed, it like fills with blood as he's like coughing. It's so gross. This part grossed me out. We also see like his collarbone break. Did you guys see that?
Yes, it snaps.
Yeah. That's the most common broken bone.
Anyway, we cut to him and his friend having drinks after watching one of the most fucked up things imaginable.
Yeah.
And he's like, I think we got to go back out to that house in the woods tomorrow and see what's up, because what the fuck is all this? And they see what looks like the witness lady, turns out to be the ghost lady, there at the bar with them. So he keeps like seeing her around and then being like, is that her? Is that not? But we cut to his house later that night, where his daughter has a fever and is screaming and convulsing.
Yeah.
And she keeps saying, someone keeps trying to get in. It's a strange man trying to get in. And there is a shadow at the door.
Yeah. Which, like, it's rice paper. If he wanted to get in, he could get in.
Yeah. The next morning, his daughter's eating breakfast. And she's like powering through all the food there, kind of like Jennifer and Jennifer's body. Just like
she's powering up.
She's carbon up.
They even say, like, she doesn't even like fish. Like, she's eating stuff she doesn't normally like to eat. And that's the point. I'm like, oh, she a demon child now?
Yeah, she's a demon child. And the mom and grandma are just like, this is fucked up. Like, something is wrong.
Yeah.
And so the grandma's like, I'm going to ask the neighbor to recommend a shaman, and then I'll go consult with that guy because, like, she is clearly possessed. Like, this is clearly not our normal granddaughter. But we meet up with him and his partner, and his partner's nephew, who is a deacon in training to be a priest, but grew up in Japan, so he speaks Japanese. So they all go out to the Japanese man's house in the woods.
But how funny would it be to have Mel Gibson being like, do you want to come with us to the woods to violate someone's constitutional rights?
And he's like, what constitutional rights?
Exactly.
We're in Korea. I'm sure they have their own, but like, we don't know what they are.
And then he's just like, exactly, priest.
Oh, no.
I do. Okay, so this movie is not about this, but it did give me the idea that I want a like priest exorcist level universe where like the Buddhist religion has like a coalition of people that send out and do exorcisms too. And like we get like that side of it. So it's like two different branches trying to solve the same problem in their own unique ways. But like they have a unhinged exorcist. That's the reason I liked the guy who turns out to be the bad exorcist.
Right.
I was like, I want to see this guy going around doing this shit everywhere.
I knew he was a bad guy because of his clothes.
Yeah, you can tell. He is sort of positioned as like affluent, right? And like
He's dressed really well. He's definitely the hottest guy in the movie.
yeah, which makes sense because they're, you know, doing this to like steal money from people essentially.
So they get to his house. They immediately break into the house, and he's got a dog, but they just like no warrant, no nothing. They break into his house. They're not finding anything except his partner finds a shrine with candles and all of the photos of like people before and after their death and some of their possessions,
Yeah.
including a little girl's shoe.
Yeah.
But as they're doing that, the priest nephew is like, I don't feel great about this and us being here. This seems not good. And they're like, well, then you stay outside and play lookout. And the dog gets a hold of him. So as he's screaming and fighting off the dog, Jong-gu has to go help him. The partner realizes what this shrine is and is like, oh shit, this guy is definitely involved in killing all these people. I'm not sure how yet, but it's bad. But as that's all happening, the Japanese man comes home and they kind of have to just like, sorry, we're gonna go. This was an accident. Bye.
It's insane to me that we cut away from this scene without them questioning him. They don't ask him a damn thing. Like they just walked in on what is essentially like the bad place in a slasher. Like this is revealing that he is the man responsible for so many deaths already.
Yes.
And they're just like, we'll just cut away from this scene. It's not really important how they leave this moment.
It's the bone room in TCM.
Yes.
Like it's,
And it's the bone room in TCM, and there's more of you than there is the one guy.
Right.
Like there's no way they couldn't have arrested him here for both cause and, you know, just the physical like requirement it would take to take someone into custody. They have the numbers, they have the evidence, and they just cut away from the scene like it's not shit. It blew my mind.
Yes, but also, but at the end of the movie, could they have taken him in? You know, because he is a full-blown demon at the end of the movie.
Sure.
True.
But you've got to tell me how they got out of that scene if they're the ones actually in danger there. Like, I honestly felt like this part was such a huge cop-out that I was, like, upset that we didn't get like even an attempt at an explanation how they got out of the scene.
Yeah.
It was nuts to me.
Oh, I just thought it was the Japanese guy like, you don't have a warrant.
I read it similarly as they didn't have a warrant because we know they weren't supposed to be there and they're not there on official police business.
Yes. Then give me one line of dialogue where one cop says, we can't be here. We don't have a warrant. And then them sneaking out the back door, cut to them in the car. Like it needs to have that explanation or it feels like a huge cop out. Pardon the pun.
I think some of this is cultural because they talk about him a bunch where they're like, we should just ask him to leave town.
Yeah.
Or like they're very gentle about it.
Yes.
And it's such a non-American way because I think
because that you're right. That could be cultural. Like it could just just be like, of course they can't be there, you know? Like, I just don't have that. I don't have that knowledge.
The priest kid does say, we shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be doing this.
But you're right. It does fade to them back in the village being like, we should go back and tell him
back
to
in
leave.
the car. It fades to them back in the car. But you're right. It does fade away.
In the car, his partner is like, yo, he definitely did it. I don't know if he's a ghost or a demon or a murderer, but he has evidence from all the crime scenes. Like, it's definitely him. And also evidence of what I think are going to be future crime scenes. Here's your daughter's shoe. And so Jungkook goes home and like confronts his daughter and is like, did you lose a shoe? And she's like, no. And he's like, this is your shoe. It is your handwriting. And she just screams at him in a way that is uncharacteristic from what we have seen of her in the past. This is a completely different personality. This is not her that we know of.
I mean, this is not. I sort of already knew she was a demon or possessed, at least at this point, because of the eating thing. That scene sort of gives it away. But this definitely confirms it. She is like up in his face, cussing at him, screaming at him, like, not the daughter we saw them sharing a soda with, you know?
Yeah, and we cut to later that night. He's in her room with a flashlight going through her stuff. And I laughed, and I probably shouldn't have. It's meant to be scary, but it made me laugh. Because he's going through like her school workbooks, and it looks like one of them she bit through just on the side of it.
Yeah.
It's like bite marks through a whole book.
Yes.
I was like, what? And
Teenage
so he's like,
angst.
You know, puberty, right, Mikey?
You know how you just be eating books? But so he's like flipping through the books of like schoolwork, and then it's just random murderous scribblings and drawings of blood.
Yeah.
Like, oof.
Yeah.
But he then goes and he's looking at her skin to see if she has a rash, and she does, but it's like right along her hip. So he has to like lift her kind of nightgown to see it, but it is pronounced and it is over a large portion of her body.
Yeah.
And she wakes up and is like, oh, were you trying to molest me? And he's like, no, I was looking for a rash and I fucking found it.
Yeah.
So you are possessed, basically.
And he clearly wasn't. He like is pulling her skirt up on the side and is showing us the rash. Like it's not like anything crazy.
No, 100%.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, so she's yelling about it, and we cut to later, the mom and the grandmother are trying to calm her down. The grandmother walks over to him and he's like, yo, she's got a rash. She's fucking possessed. And the grandma's like, yeah, I fucking know. I met with the shaman today and he thinks there's a spirit in the house and she's possessed. And if we don't do anything, she'll kill us. So we're going to need to pay him 10 grand.
Yeah, I had to put a deposit down on him.
Right. So we cut to the next day. He, like, because yes, they're going to do the shaman thing, but he's like, it is the Japanese man. I'm taking, this into my own hands. He goes with the priest kid as a translator, and he like takes a photo of the Japanese guy's passport. He goes in and tries to toss the house, but everything they saw that was evidence yesterday is gone.
We literally find out later in the scene that he burned it in his kitchen.
He burned it.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, why are you here? And he's like, to travel. And he's like, no, why are you really here? And he's like, even if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. And so he just starts cussing him out.
Yeah.
And is like, leave, get out. What are you doing with my daughter? And he gets no answers. He picks up a pickaxe and threatens him. And the dog freaks out, obviously, because he's threatening his owner. And the dog gets loose, chases him into the house. And this dude kills that dog off screen, mercifully.
Yeah, you don't see it, but you hear it, and it still is brutal, and I hate it.
It still is brutal. And it was self-defense. It was absolutely self-defense.
Yes, I was going to say that. Like, it is technically self-defense.
But
it's just hard to hear the whimpers and cries of a dog. Yeah,
poor baby.
But the dog's fine. I mean, we do see the dead dog, but it clearly is not the real dog,
Oh, no. Well, it's a dead goat later that's hanging.
Yes, well, that's what's hanging over them. I mean, in this scene, when he walks out, you see the dog behind him, but it's clearly like a stuffed animal covered in tomato sauce.
Yeah.
Well, I would assume since he is a literal demon that's not a literal dog.
Yeah, I thought that technically is a hellhound, right?
But we don't know that 100%. Yeah, I do think it's a hellhound.
But Paige, isn't hellhound like a uniquely Christian like version of the devil? I honestly don't know. Like, if South Korean has that hellhounds imagery.
Well, there's Catholicism within this movie, so
that is true. You're right. Yeah, I guess it still does hold up.
It's not unique to Christianity because there are also hellhounds in Greek and Norse mythology. So
sure, yeah. What is it? Cerberus, the 3-headed dog, could be considered one?
Yeah, that's a hellhound.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also it's because dogs, or rather the families of animals that we have domesticated dogs from, are carrion animals. They're both predators, but also scavengers.
Yeah.
And so they typically scavenge dead bodies. So they're often associated with death, hell, and the underworld. Jackals in particular. So like,
yeah, that makes sense.
So that's kind of where we get a hellhound kind of a vibe. And so it exists in many, many cultures just because of a natural association of those animals with death.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it could be a hellhound for sure. But because we don't fully know that the Japanese man is guilty at this point, you're just like, no, the dog was just protecting its owner. This poor dog.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he fully kills his dog and leaves and is like, yo, if you don't leave, I'm gonna kill you like I killed that fucking dog.
Yeah. Now, okay, so in this scene, he is speaking Korean, and the deacon, who is he's like about to become a priest, he's like a priest in training, is like translating.
Mm-hmm.
And as Jang-gu is like yelling at the demon, the translator stops at some point translating more or less.
Yeah, because he can't.
But but the demon sort of isn't saying anything, but I think he fully understands what's being said.
I think so too.
You know, and
I don't think he
that's,
needed a translator.
Exactly. And I think that's a great performance by the guy who's playing the Japanese man. I thought it was great.
So the actor playing the Japanese man in this movie, Jun Kunomura, is actually a very famous Japanese actor, he's had a career that spans like 35 years. This is his first Korean movie.
Okay.
So like he is a very successful and experienced actor playing this role in a movie surrounded by Koreans. He's like one of the only Japanese people in the movie.
Nice. Okay.
I think that's why we get such a good performance out of this, because he is super experienced, super talented, and plays this very, very well.
He does. Yeah.
Now, we cut to back at Jang-gu's house. The mom is like, hey, we took the little girl into the doctor and they basically confirmed that her rash is like everybody else's. And it's the same as the ones they saw in the other people. We don't have an explanation.
Yeah.
But the next morning, they wake up to a dead goat hanging outside of their house, which can't be good. And then on top of that, Jang-gu wakes up with it sounds like he like threw his back out, like something like muscle spasms, like a pinched nerve.
Yeah.
You know, like old people shit.
Yeah.
Which is another one of those things where I was like, it could just be old people shit.
Yeah.
I've gotten out of bed wrong in the morning. Like, you know.
I old people shit too. I have old people shit.
Or maybe his back hurts from carrying that whole fucking police department, discovering a demon and getting no support.
That's fair.
Anyway, he goes to acupuncture, which everyone I know who's tried it swears by it. So he goes to acupuncture and he's like, hey, wait, if you're all here, who's watching the kid? And they're like, oh, we left her with the neighbor. He's like, no, we cannot leave her alone with any strangers. They rush back home. And she has actively tried to stab the neighbor to death with scissors.
Yeah, I get the impression that the neighbor was, and even maybe going to be fine, but still alive.
I think so.
She definitely needed medical treatment because she was bleeding quite profusely.
Indeed, indeed.
But I got the impression that there was a chance that she would be okay. But I don't understand why there are no like real repercussions from this. Maybe because her dad's a cop?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Little nepotism?
Yeah.
Not sure, but he meets with his partner, and his partner's like, everything has been bad since we went to that house.
Yeah.
I'm seeing like hallucinations. I'm seeing that a guy's face come out of the wall. We got to do something or he's going to get us first. Meanwhile, the shaman arrives at the house and looks around, looks under the furniture, whistles, looks under the house. He points out a jar of soy sauce, which I'm a super nerd about how things like this are made and fermentation. And so I'm guessing it was fermenting miso to then become soy sauce over time.
I would assume so. Yeah.
If you're super curious, Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat on Netflix does an episode on
soy sauce,
just fermentation in general.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things they cover is soy sauce.
Very cool. Do they talk about getting and like finding and catching the right kind of crow to put in your soy sauce so it gives it that crow flavor?
Crows are optional, but if you do put a crow in, then you can fight like a crow. Fight sauce. Fight like a crow. Anyway. So the shaman shows up and he's like, that thing is soy sauce. I'm going to break it. He breaks it. There's a dead crow in it. And they're like, oh my God, an omen. Because birds are always omens. because they're not real. They're tools of the government and the bourgeoisie.
But knowing that they're working together, because
They
like
put that crow there.
exactly, like
Yep.
I was like, how the fuck did whistling allow him to hone in on the crow that was in the soy sauce thing? But he knew because he's working with the demon guy.
Yeah.
So like that's how we knew.
Yep.
Love it.
Anyway, he's like, real fucked up spirit you got here and wrecked all your soy sauce with dead crow.
Real fucked up spirit you got here. Be a shame if I got rid of him for 10K.
be a shame if a crow ended up in it. Anyway, so they do an initial knife dance with rainbow bracelets. Definitely the most colorful exorcism I've ever seen. And the little girl ends up screaming in pain. So we cut to the dad and the shaman talking, and the shaman is like, hey, did you make someone mad? Because
Yeah.
this seems awful cursy. And there was the crow and the soy sauce and the,
Did you fuck up a little bit, cop? Is what he's saying.
Did you kill my friend's dog, asshole? And now we're going to make you pay. Because he basically is like, yeah, I did. It was this Japanese guy. And the shaman's like, damn it. He's a ghost. He's not. He's not even a guy. You could have picked anybody, not that guy. That's going to cost extra.
Okay, so I just did a little math because is this the scene where he's like, it'll be 10,000?
Yeah.
Okay, does he say $10,000?
No, he just says 10 grand, which I assume is either one of two things. Either one, 10 grand in Korean currency, which I assume is not that much American money.
So I just looked it up. So I think it has to be dollars because 10,000 South Korean won is $7.51.
Yeah, right.
And you can't hire a Kodo band to play at your exorcism for
$7.
$7.51.
So maybe
guys.
it's a subtitles issue.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
a subtitles
yeah.
thing. Where the subtitles wrote in the English equivalent.
Yeah.
Because for the English speaking world, America, Canada, Britain, etc., for all of us, 10 grand is a significant amount of money.
They should have just went, but then like, you need 10,000 American dollars.
American dollars.
Yeah.
Or, well, here's the other part of it, because having been to, and I realize this is a different country, the currency is different, it's not the same, but kind of a similar vibe is in Japan, where you'd pick something up and you're like 5,000 yen, and it would be like $2.
Well,
So like
5,000 yen would be $50, but yeah.
no, the exchange rate is not that good anymore, bro.
Yeah, check it out. Like, look it up. It's way closer to $50 than $7.
Oh yeah. Anyway, but like in order to convey the amount of money that we're looking at, you'd have to be like 65 million yen.
Paige, it would actually be, I looked it up, 13 million
13 million won
to make $10,000. So like, I mean, maybe it was just like a subtitles thing, because I do
think it
fully
was.
think this guy is evil, right? So he is going to get as much money as possible. And he's like, I don't know, about 10 grand, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Like his sales pitch is like, I've got you over the fucking barrel, guy. I got your daughter's life in my hands. You're going to give me anything I want.
You want your daughter to die? Yeah, maybe 15,000.
15, or it's more of a Shelbyville idea. But
Is that a monorail joke?
yes,
You bastard. I love it.
it just reminded me of Squid Games, where it's like, how much do you owe? 28 million.
Yes.
And you're just like, oh my God, that's so much money. And then you look it up and you're like, oh, that's like 20 grand.
Yeah, which is a lot of money, but like $28 million is way different than
It's
$20,000, right?
totally
Yeah.
different. Yes.
It's because, okay, so like in Japan, and I'm assuming and also in South Korea, although I've never been, they don't really have cents. Like we have dollars and
Right.
cents. Like,
Yeah.
they just have yen. And it's like, they just count in like what we would count in pennies. So it's like, I have 20 million, I owe 20 million cents.
Right.
Is like what that would be like.
Right. And so like, for example, because I just Googled it, 5,000 Japanese yen right now with the current exchange rate is $33.
Yeah,
which is about what it was when I was there.
Yeah.
But because it's so much more than you think, you're looking at things and you're like 1,000, 4,000, and you're trying to like do your head math, and it's very disconcerting.
Paige, I literally got off the airplane in Tokyo and we had to go through customs and stuff, so it took forever. I was so hungry. I went to one of the places in the actual airport to get something, and I literally looked at the cost of like a Kit Kat bar, and it was a green tea Kit Kat bar because I wanted to try it, and they have so many cool flavors over there. Anyway,
so many.
I was like, Lee, who I was traveling with, I was like, this is like $40, and he was like, it's probably closer to $2.50, bro.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
yen. You're in Japan now, bro. Calm down.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so I think this is just a subtitle.
Yeah, I think so too.
Anyway, so he's like, I'll have the money ready, and he's like, good, cool, but hey, heads up, come here. I'm doing a very dangerous death hex. Don't do anything. Don't have sex. Don't eat anything weird. Don't drink. Like, stay pure, basically, until after. And he's like, okay.
I really like that he does that.
Yes, but picture him giving that talk to Mel Gibson.
It would not have gone over well. Although I do think Mel Gibson would have done what he does here, which is like not drink and not have sex in the Cadillac. You know, like he does all of that. Where he fails is when his daughter starts suffering and then he makes the guy stop.
And he ends it, which now here's the thing, knowing that the guy is working with the demon, I think if he had not stopped it, she would have died. Like, I think it would have killed her. I mean, she dies anyway, I would assume.
Yeah, because looking back, it's a joint.
It's a joint effort.
Right.
Yeah. And really, what we're seeing, and we're setting up what looks like is a shaman versus shaman showdown in South Korea, which
loved it.
Sounds amazing. And I honestly love the way it's shot and done in the movie.
2 shamans enter, 1 little girl leaves.
Exactly, Paige.
Did any of you, because at this point in the film, I think the Japanese guy is a good guy and the shaman's a bad guy.
Yes.
So I was like going back and forth. I was like, I don't know who the bad guy is.
I thought that too.
Because I thought the shaman was like a charlatan is what I was thinking.
A charlatan. Yeah, I thought so too. I also think what we don't get and what the movie deprives us on so it can save it for a reveal is that woman, the mysterious woman, the ghost, is also participating in some ritualistic stuff like this to fight the Japanese shaman or the Japanese demon.
Maybe.
Because he actually does experience some like trauma. Like he almost dies in this moment, but doesn't. And it's played like he doesn't die because the South Korean shaman, the charlatan shaman, it didn't finish it. Like, so it plays it like the reason the Japanese demon didn't die is because the dad stopped the charlatan, more or less, from finishing the ritual, right?
Right.
But it can't be that because they're working together. And that's why I think you're right. Had he not stopped it, that shaman that was in their fucking driveway was killing their daughter.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But no, I agree.
We don't see the ghost woman doing anything else, but yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we see her before this. We don't see her doing any ritualistic stuff at all.
Or if you know anything about ritualistic magic, you know that it always costs.
You do. That's right. It could be them paying the cost, right?
It could be the cost, right? Because like he does offer chickens, but he doesn't have as many animals or whatever. He's doing the magic alone. It's very possible that in this ritual, he has a physical cost to bear to make the ritual come to pass. And maybe he's the one actually doing the death hex and the shaman's shit is all fake and his is the one that is actually impacting the little girl. And that's why it's a very serious death hex and it costs him potentially.
I didn't think about that.
That's a really cool way to read it.
I love that reading of it because the shaman that is in the driveway, more or less, is doing some very performative shit.
Love it.
I loved it too, Paige. He is like really giving it and I loved it. But the guy who is the Japanese demon who is doing more or less the same sort of thing, it's much more private and it's much more like internal.
It is also very measured and deliberate because he goes and like bathes in a waterfall. He prepares the chickens. He prepares all day for that ritual that he is doing alone.
Yeah.
But very deliberately and in his own house at his established altar. But oh man, the dude dancing with all the knives. I would watch it all day. And at a certain point, there's a bonfire, and the way he's dancing seems less ritual, more nightclub, which is even better because he's just like, he's just like grooving with the drums. And it's like, honestly, I want to just YouTube and watch that one scene again because you're like, all right. Okay. Cool.
He is having like the most fun. It's awesome.
Yeah, if he had busted out singing Lionel Richie in the middle of it, it would have fit. You would have been like, yeah, of course. Like Electric Avenue.
During the exorcism scene with the daughter when he's hitting her with the branches, he's like, exercise tonight. Bum, 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 bum. I'm gonna hit you with trees.
Because he's got like a whole retinue of people who are just like all night long, just like, yeah.
He does have a full-ass backing band for this hex.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were just played players, though. I don't think they were like demon shaman people, though.
Well, there were about 7 of them, so each of them got about $1 a piece to appear tonight with their drums behind the shaman.
I can just picture Todd in college being like, yeah, I got a drum gig tonight. It's just a thing at a private residence, a private party. And then you get there and they're like, we're exercising a demon. I just need you to strum on this. Like, you know.
We pan across. There's John Stamos on a steel drum. Just like,
standing,
he's here too.
because John Stamos is the only man I've ever seen stand and play drums well. I'm not even joking. That dude's actually pretty good. He's not bad.
Well, and Sheila E.
Sheila E. stands. That's true. I forgot about Sheila E. You're right.
Yes.
It's just such a unique way to play. It's kind of cool. Anyway, I want a cut of this where it's Mel Gibson in the lead part, or, you know, the part we've been putting him in. Of
course.
But in just this one scene, it's me playing the kodo drums.
Just in the back.
Yeah.
Full smile.
Yeah, like I am here for beer money. I don't drink, but like that's why, you know, like I have no idea what's going on.
But you don't know what's going to happen, so.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate cover bands.
Yeah.
So he picks up a chicken and you're like, oh no, what's he doing with that chick? Just cuts that chicken's neck open and you're like, oh.
I came to the wrong party.
No.
This is the weirdest barbecue gig ever.
Honestly, if like, I would be like, are we going to eat that? Because like, I would love some like stir fried chicken. Like that sounds great.
Ooh.
Well, and again, this is where he like over the shoulder gets it into the bucket and then does it with a second one.
$1,000,000 shot.
It was like from the 3.
Yeah.
Like it's just amazing. And then he dunks his head in the blood and is just like, and then goes like even harder. I was like, yes. And he's like hammering those nails into that like wooden statue and then dancing in between the nails. I was like, this shit slaps.
It's like Roman Passion of the Christ style nails. Like,
yes!
It is like he thought to himself before coming to do this event, man, they paid 10,000 American dollars. I'm going to put on one hell of a show. And he does.
He is the Las Vegas version of Shaman.
He is the Siegfried and Roy of exorcisms for sure. Yes.
Lots of sequins, lots of hand motions. But then the Japanese man is just very quietly doing what you would assume is the same ceremony, but in a much more quiet, measured way, which again is why I was like, ooh, magic costs. Maybe it's that.
Yeah. Well, and the reason it doesn't cost our shaman is because he's not doing anything of significance.
Exactly.
The other guy is actually doing the ritual, but it seems like the movie plays it like they're fighting.
It does, which again is the movie being like, who is who, right? But during the shaman's performance, let's call it, the little girl is in agony.
Yes.
And so initially you think maybe the Japanese guy is like doing like an Uno reverse card, like sending whatever is coming to him to the little girl. But once you know what happens at the end, I maintain that he's the one potentially killing the little girl and this is all a performance.
I think so too. I also wrote down a joke about the Uno reverse card. So screw you for beating me to it. Yes. Because it looks like they're fighting.
Right.
It seems like the shaman that's in the driveway is casting a kill hex spell on the Japanese demon and that he is playing the Uno reverse card onto the girl. Or maybe like even skip.
Yeah.
You know, skip me and go to her. But yeah, it's not that. We find out at the end.
Well, and the more I kind of think about it, the more I'm like, his performance is designed to go long enough for the little girl to die, right?
Right.
Because we heard from the other crime scenes that they all stopped the exorcism. They stopped the ritual.
Yeah.
Because no one could get through it. And I assume it's because the same thing was happening of like somebody screaming in agony because the actual ritual is happening somewhere else.
Right.
And like it's all planned and coordinated. And that's why they always stop it so that they can be like, well, if they had finished it would have cured them or whatever. They just couldn't take the pain. So it's kind of like an easy cop out.
Yeah.
But anyway, they stop the ritual. They rush her to the hospital. The hospital is empty except for her, but she's fully messed up. At this point, Jong-gu is like, okay, well, we have tried intimidation. We have tried shamans. We haven't tried the Catholics. So like, let's go talk to them. And the Catholics, to their credit in this movie, is like,
oh, you mean that creepy Japanese man? Yeah, no, we've heard about him, but your daughter's too far gone, so good luck. That's essentially the whole scene. I was like, damn, I love this.
Well, because he's just like, I think those might be rumors. Like, this sounds ridiculous. It sounds like he's just a guy. And it sounds like your daughter's very sick. And like, we could pray for her or whatever. But like, trust the people at the hospital. They're the ones who are going to help your daughter at this point. We don't have knives and rainbows.
Right.
Just fish hats and guilt. So like, we can't help you.
If you want your daughter to feel guilty about growing into a woman, that's where you call us.
That's more our thing. I'm sure a lot of religions have it.
I'm sure. That's just the box I grew up in. So I know that specifically. Yeah.
Anyway, he's like, okay, well, I need to try and kill the Japanese man to see if he's a ghost, which to me, I was like, how do you kill a ghost, man? Like, are you going to call the Ghostbusters? What are we going to do here?
Look, he said he's going to try to kill the man to find out if he is a ghost. It's pretty much like Salem trying to find out if it's a witch.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're going to drown him. And if he doesn't drown, he's a ghost.
If we are able to kill him, he wasn't a ghost and we're safe. If he's a ghost, we'll know them.
He wasn't a ghost yet, but now we've made a ghost who hates us. So, like, there's no winning in that scenario.
Unless you, like, pull his mask up and you're like, the old janitor.
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson. I would have gotten away with it, too, if it weren't for you and that meddling hellhound. But this is where he collects his lynch mob. And somebody does take a bottle to the head in this scene, and it made me laugh very hard. After a wild exorcism, I was all here for it. So they go to the Japanese man's house. They break in. There's nothing there. Body's gone, everything's gone.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we see the Japanese man go to a truck in the woods and there's a body in the truck. And he like goes to check on the truck again and the body is gone. So he's like running through the forest and that body in the truck is now a zombie or possessed. He is definitely possessed.
It's possessed for sure, yeah.
And attacks this lynch mob. I do love that they like get a rake in the zombie's head and then the zombie pulls it out itself. Like, oof, it was great. But it takes them a while to try and kill the zombie. And ultimately they don't. The zombie is just so far gone, it eventually convulses and dies on the ground.
Right.
And it is dead. But they see the Japanese man in the woods and they chase him and they run to a cliff because it looks like he jumped over a cliff. He's actually hanging on the side and will kind of hide under.
Which is a real lethal weapon kind of move if we're talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Because they're like, where'd he go? And he's just like, as like a 70-year-old old Japanese man, like, just like on the side of the rock holding on free solo style.
He does it like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible 2, just like,
yeah.
like holding onto the two sides.
He eventually does fall down to the bottom and hide.
Right.
But yeah.
And he's in bad shape.
Yes, he been fucked up. Yeah.
This is, again, I think magic costs. I think he was vulnerable after the ceremony.
I mean, I also think that some of those scars we see when he's in the cave at the very end are from the cost of the magic he was casting.
Yeah. Anyway, so he takes off through the woods. They think they've lost him, so they start to drive home, and it is raining really, really bad.
Yeah.
And they almost hit another truck. The shaman is trying to call them. He's like back with the wife and the grandmother. He's trying to get a hold of his wife. He can't get a hold of her. They swerve to avoid a collision, and then a body falls and hits their truck. From where?
It's sort of implied that the mysterious ghost woman maybe throws the demon in front of their car. Like, I don't really know, but it is the demon guy.
I think they were fighting in the woods.
I think so too. Yeah. We don't see that, but...
Or he faked his death to get them off his trail.
It could be either of those. We don't have either confirmed, though. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't confirm. We don't even fully confirm that it's the Japanese man, and it doesn't really look like him. Like, it's the body's messed up, so you really can't 100% tell, but essentially they just drag that body off the road and throw it over a cliff like I Know What You Did Last Summer style.
Yeah.
And are just like, we never speak of this again. Definitely not back at school. So he finally gets a hold of his wife. He goes back to the hospital, but this is where the shaman says the rat fell into the trap.
Yes.
Anyway, he goes to the hospital. His daughter seems like she's doing better, so they take her home.
But the rat falling into the trap is Jong-gu, right? Like Jong-gu falling into the trap. Like we know at the end.
Yeah, we just don't know it at the time.
Yeah.
They could have taken the old man's body and been like, this guy fell off a mountain. We found him in the car. He looked really beat up because he hit our car when he fell down a mountain.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going to have to tie the damage of the car to what happened because, like, they would not believe it if you drove in and be like, no, we didn't hit him with the big dent on your windshield.
Right, we just found him.
They had no reason to throw his body down the hill. I would have taken him back to town and you got to burn it.
Yeah, something. Whatever.
That's real Mel Gibson energy, and I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. In my notes at this point, I just have, what has happened? I am confusion. Because I was struggling. It was also 2 a.m. after I finished watching From Couple to Throuple. So, like, maybe I was not in the best headspace. Perfect headspace for the colorful exorcism. Not great headspace for solving complex stories. We cut back to the house and they put the little girl to bed because they think she's fine. And they're like, thank the shaman.
The mother-in-law even says, all thanks to the shaman. After you think, because we don't know the reveal yet, that they killed the demon on the mountain, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, our guy, like the cop, the dad just like saved the day and gets no credit from the mother-in-law, of course.
Of course. But this is where on the screen on the TV in the background, it says arrests made in the mushroom tonic case.
Yeah.
So like, something happened, right? That was happening off screen. Meanwhile, the priest guy wakes up. He gets like a phone call that essentially his uncle, the other partner, has been a victim of this like family annihilator style attack.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, it's not over. The demon's not dead.
It's never been over, Paige.
It's never been
over. I haunted you every day for a year, Paige.
For a year. Anyway, so the shaman goes to, I would assume, finish the job at Jong-gu's house.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least do reconnaissance. But when he gets there, the ghost woman is there. And his nose starts bleeding a bunch. He ends up barfing up a bunch of blood. Like, it's brutal.
It's like blood and it's almost like foam. Like he put an Alka-Seltzer tablet in his mouth and then started throwing up blood. Like, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's brutal. And literally the ghost woman is like, get out. And he's like, oh, shit. So this is when he starts frantically calling Jong-gu to be like, hey, there's a woman at your house. Don't trust her. She's trying to kill your kid. The Japanese guy was innocent. But like that lady, she is definitely trying to kill that kid. And the dad has not answered. Jong-gu hasn't answered any of these phone calls. He goes to the shaman's house. Everything's cleared out. He finally answers the phone call. And the shaman is like, don't trust her. Get to your daughter now or whatever. Because I think he needs him to also be killed as part of like, they probably gain magic from the death.
Well, and also I feel like there's less loose ends if the dad killed the family, right? If it's a family annihilator situation and they weren't involved in it, it's easier for them to get away with what they're doing, because it's like a really easy case for the police to like put a button on and move on.
What police? They all dead now, but yes.
Literally, it does like all the police die in this.
Pretty much. But so he goes back to his house and on the way he runs into the woman and the woman is like, you cannot trust the shaman. He and the Japanese guy are working together. If you stay here until the third rooster crows, nothing bad will happen to you. If you leave before then, everyone in your family will die, including you.
Right. And okay, so they set up Chekhov's 3 rooster crows, right?
Right.
Do we only get 2? I feel like we only got
2. We only get 2.
I was a little frustrated by that.
Well, no, we only get 2 because he doesn't believe her.
He leaves.
I know, but like, I feel like we could have tied in that third rooster.
Which I wonder if they picked this because of like the crucifixion and
Peter's denial 3 times. Yeah. But he actually did like, I don't know that dude 3 times, not just 2 times. But again, that's me like overlaying the Christian box I was born into, like the culture I was born into over this movie. And they don't probably have a lot of that over there. I'm sure they have some Catholicism, but like
it's a fair amount actually. And also a lot of offshoot Christian churches over there too. Because we've covered like 3 of them on Cult Podcast. So this is part of it. So there is supposed to be a third rooster crow. We just never hear it because he leaves before it happens. Part of the reason that's significant is the 3 rooster crow is part of the ghost woman's spell. She has hung the plants as a binding spell, like a warding spell.
Yeah.
So like the fact that he goes before the last crow means he breaks the seal and ruins the spell, which is, I think, what happened at all of the other
Yeah, I think so too.
things that where they had the plants. So because he went too early, he didn't wait for that last crow.
Yeah.
Everybody dies. Now, here's the thing. He goes and people are already dead. I think she probably only could have saved him.
Yes, and the daughter.
And maybe because the daughter killed people. So
the daughter's definitely at least going to
Spiritually,
jail.
not- not legally.
I mean,
Yeah,
she was
yeah.
still alive, though. I do think that some of them were always going to die because by the time we see the second crow, like, we see some of the scene already, right? No, we don't see it until he runs and he gets there. But
we don't see it till he runs, but until he breaks that seal. But by the time he breaks the seal, they're already dead.
yeah, they would have to have already been dead for like the police or the crime scene to be as far along as it is when he gets there.
When he gets there.
Yeah.
And so I think he would have maybe survived and maybe the daughter,
Yeah.
but that would have been it.
Daughter would be in jail her whole life, but yeah.
But well, and that's the thing. It's like she says, if you leave, your entire family dies.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you a witch? Are you whatever? She's like, I'm just a woman who's trying to save your daughter. Like, and again, I think the daughter might be the only one she could save. And he says, well, I killed the Japanese man. She's like, no, you didn't.
You did not.
Like,
Yeah.
spoiler, you did not. And you have already seen the demon. It was at that one crime scene where we met. It is me. I am that person, basically. And as we're doing this, we're cutting back and forth to the priest who basically, I think, has gone back to the Japanese man's house. We are not 100% on the location where he goes, but he finds the Japanese man and is like, show me your true form and I won't kill you, but I just need you to tell me who you are and then I will leave you alone. And he's like, oh, you'll leave me alone? You think I'll let you leave alive?
Right.
And laughs, and it's fucking terrifying. And you're just like, what?
Yeah.
But how cool would it be if he turned into Pennywise?
He sort of does have some very, I think, cool makeup after he shows the
He
reveal.
does.
Like when he has the camera, man, I sort of dug the way, like the creature design, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. Well, and so we cut back to the woman that he's still talking to her, still debating. He's heard 2 rooster crows. The shaman calls and he's like, don't trust that woman. You got to get back to your daughter right now, which of course sounds more attractive to a parent to be like, yes, I should be there. At least I can keep her safe or whatever. But no. And so he runs before the last rooster crows and she's
Right.
like, go, don't believe him. Don't go. She grabs his wrist and he has this thought of like, do ghosts have bones? And we kind of contrast this with the priest kid questioning
Yeah.
the Japanese man and then confirming that he is a demon.
But this is very much, I think, a super effective whodunit, to use something that Mikey sort of set up earlier, of who did this? Who caused all of this? Was it the South Korean shaman? Was it the Japanese demon? Or was it this mysterious lady who has sort of been involved, but not a whole lot until the very end, right?
Right.
And it's revealed at first that it was the Japanese demon, right?
Right.
That's what we see being revealed when he takes the photo of the deacon.
Yeah, and his nails are all creepy and he kind of
Yeah,
pulls
and
the camera away. He's got the
he's
red
got
eyes.
horns.
He's got horns.
The creature design's great.
Creature design's great, but Jung-gu goes inside his house. Everyone is dead. It is implied that his daughter also stabs him to death. But as he is dying, he says, it's okay. Daddy's a policeman. I'll take care of everything. And we
Yeah.
assume that he dies. The shaman arrives and the little girl is there, but catatonic, much like the other people who have committed similar murders where they're just like, what even happened to me? And he takes photos of the crime scene and then walks to his car where he's got a whole box of photos like the ones we saw in the Japanese man's house. And he puts it in his car, puts these new photos in his car, and drives away. And
that's the movie.
Well, it cuts back to them in the carousel after that. Like,
Oh, yeah, just a
having fun,
brief
yeah.
shot of them having fun.
Well, yeah, it's definitely a flashback, though, because both those people
Yeah.
are fully as
Oh.
dead. But yeah, it is sort of sweet, though, to remember what their relationship was like before their entire family was destroyed. But having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what did you guys think about The Wailing?
I dug it.
I did really like it. It is very long, but I did really like it.
I would probably not watch it again. But
I'm going to watch that exorcism scene again, like literally as soon as we end this call. I'm going to find it on YouTube.
Mikey, I wouldn't watch it again, but if it was an hour and 45 minutes, I would.
It would be cool to rewatch to see like which demons put their things where or whatever.
Yeah. I think on a rewatch you would find a lot of things. I do understand why this won so many awards, why it was famous, why people like it, even though it is longer than I think it needs to be. But it's
gorgeous. Everything's beautifully shot. Korea looks gorgeous. It's just really, really pretty movie.
I know. It made me want to go to Korea. I was like, man, I would love to go to Korea. Korea.
But I also like, I know I've been critical of the pacing stuff, but I think everything else is like so well done in this movie. Like I don't hate the movie. I just probably wouldn't watch it again because A, it's scary and it's, in my opinion, too long. But I do understand why people like loved this movie because it's a good, scary, like beautifully shot, great story movie.
It explored things I haven't seen explored a lot on film, and it did things with horror themes that I've not seen before, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, me too. But Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
I do.
Well, here it is with your fun facts.
Wailing fun facts. So for the ceremony / exorcism scene, the actor, Hwang Jung-min, filmed for 15 minutes straight, like one straight take with no breaks, and then they cut it up for the movie. So dude literally danced with knives and hammered nails in and pretended to kill animals for 15 straight minutes at that energy level, and then they cut it up for the movie.
Paige, I would have loved to have just been there to see that shit. I mean, especially knowing that, like, the animals were fine. I would not be watching animal sacrifice or whatever. But, like, in this setting, like, seeing that on the stage would be so fucking impressive. Because, like, the performance
with the
of
fire
that
in the middle and everything,
minutes straight with me in the background playing drums, waiting for the barbecue to be finished. Like, I would love that.
So I will clarify. So no higher animals were harmed. They say higher and they clarify because the worm in the beginning does die, obviously.
Okay, yeah. The fishing worm.
But that's not a higher animal. But the chickens, the goats, the dogs, everything. None of them were harmed for making this movie. The animal scenes were done after consulting with animal trainers and under observation with animal trainers. You'll notice when they're holding the chickens, they're actually holding them in a very specific way not to hurt them.
Yeah, like their wings are back and they're like not even fighting at all. They're just like, okay, I'm just chilling with you guys. I'm just chilling with you.
I'm just here chilling with y'all.
Yeah.
They also had a VFX staff on hand to basically adjust and enhance those shots so that whatever they could not get with the live animals, they could essentially fake with visual effects later.
Yeah, okay. I mean, a lot of that's like, you know, like running a dull blade across like a goat's neck and then you see blood coming out, but like the blood's VFX. I don't even think they did that in this movie, but it's that kind of enhanced shot is what you're talking about.
Yeah. Now, the Japanese man's exorcism scenes stem from shamanism in Nepal. So they are kind of contrasting the two.
Okay.
And again, performed by Jun Kunimura, his first Korean film after 35 years of a very successful acting career. The director has talked at length about how the main thing he wanted to explore with this movie is folk religions in Korea. Fun fact, this is Ari Aster's favorite horror movie.
I could see that.
Okay.
Because it's a super slow but effective burn. Yeah. But I mean, like, Ari Aster's good at that too. Like, Midsummer's super slow, but it's a great, effective, slow burn movie. No pun intended, because he burns it.
Well, same with Hereditary.
Yeah, well, Hereditary's way better paced, but it is a great movie. And I would still say it's a slow burn.
Now, there are a number of allusions to Catholicism. So when the priest is entering the cave to find the Japanese man, he is saying the prayer to Saint Michael. There is also the rock throwing scene. It's actually meant to be an allusion to let he who was without sin among you cast the first stone. So the ghost throws stones because she is actually the good. She is sinless, essentially.
Holy shit. Okay. So that's like a Catholicism reference, and I just didn't get it.
Yeah. That passage exists in almost all Christianity because it's John 8:7 from the New Testament.
Oh, yeah. I mean, sure. When I said Catholicism, I sort of meant all of Christianity because they're all offshoots of that one. But yeah.
Yeah. Now, this is Hong Jin-na's third feature film. That was the director. So for a third film, like I know sometimes we see people do their first film and you're like, damn, that was amazing. But even for a third film, this is still amazing.
Yeah, dude's good.
Yeah, this is listed on Letterboxd's top 250 horror films of all time. And the original title for the film was Gokseung, which is the name of a mountain village that the story takes place in. But it's also the Korean translation for the word whale.
Okay.
And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So this movie premiered in South Korea on May 13th, 2016. Sorry, the date was listed with the year first, so it threw me off because that's how they list them over there. But it was number 1 in the box office the week it came out. It beat the number 2 movie, Captain America Civil War, guys.
Oh, wow.
It's not my favorite one of the Captain Americas.
Same, but this beat an Avengers movie. Anyway, number 3 was a South Korean movie that I'm not going to try and butcher the name of. Number 4 was the Divergent series Allegiance. And then number 5 was also a South Korean movie I don't want to butcher the name of, but that's how it did in its opening weekend. Now, it was first in its first 2 weekends. In its third weekend, it was second. In its fourth weekend, it was third. In its fifth weekend, it was fifth. And then it fell to 8th and then 10th and then out of the top 10. But it was in the top 10 for the first 7 weeks. It was a bona fide South Korean hit when it came out. But what do you think it made in the theaters in South Korea in 2016?
15 million?
Okay.
12 million.
Okay. It made $50.2 million
Damn!
in the South Korean market. It made a little bit more internationally, but truthfully, not a whole lot more. So it put its worldwide box office total up to $51.5 million. And if you adjust that for inflation from 2016 to today, that would put you at $66.2 million if you made that money today, right? Now, the budget we didn't talk about first. What do you think the budget for the movie was? And again, 2016 is when it came out.
I'm going to say this cost $15 million at least.
Okay.
It might have cost less. If it did, they did a phenomenal job. It looks great.
I'm going to go 20 or 10. I'm going to go 10.
Okay. You guys are both a little bit high. And Paige, I agree. I do think it looks like it very well could be a $15 million movie. It cost $8 million to make. So
good for it.
Now, if you adjust for inflation, Mikey, that's $10.2 million. So you were very close adjusted for inflation. But that is your box office on The Wailing. I think they did a great job with that budget, man. Anyway, Mikey, do you want to hit him with that scary scale?
Yeah, scary scale, listeners, is a scale 1 to 10 how scary we found the film we watched it today. Or 1 example is Ghostbusters, or 10 example is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Paige.
That's a 2 for me.
Todd.
Okay, I was going to give it a 4. I thought it was effectively scary. I think I could watch this again, though, and it be a 1, because there aren't really any jump scares, and I sort of know the story, you know?
I'm going to go 2 as well, because a couple of the jump scares got me. That lady in the window really did get me.
Oh, yeah? That didn't scare me because we get the guy's reaction to it first. It
I was
you
very
into
convinced that he was making that up, so I was lured into a false sense. I was like,
see, I didn't. I thought he was being earnest. Okay, that makes sense, though, as to why that would scare you. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's our scary scale.
Well, awesome. So this week, you guys made us watch The Wailing. What are you all making us watch next week as we continue Foreign Scare the Crap Out of Todd Month?
So your next film is The Orphanage.
Ooh, this supposed to be scary.
Okay.
And then you have listener request after that.
So Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
I do.
Oh, nice. Well, since you have one, why don't you go first? And whose review are you going to read this week?
Elsa von Stotz.
Well, what does Elsa von Stotz have to say?
Mikey is my favorite is the title of the review.
Oh, man. Guys, the ego doesn't need any more stroking.
It's not the ego that I need. Never mind. Discovered this when Todd was a guest on another podcast, and it quickly became my go-to show.
Oh, wow. I wonder which one it was.
I do too. Been listening for almost a year, and so far, no ear cancer. I love that joke.
I don't love that joke, but I get it.
I love scary movies, but I can't always handle disturbing visuals, so I appreciate their hilarious recaps. Their conversations sometimes go on tangents that other listeners who want a straight recap might not appreciate.
That is factually correct, yes.
Yeah, there is no denying that may be a weakness of the show.
Or a strength, some might say.
But I love going along for the ride. They also mentioned that they love all the hosts equally, but no, that's not important. All right, 5 stars.
I mean, honestly, if the subject is to be believed, that's not true. But I appreciate them finally at the end trying to give Paige and I a little bit of love. But thank you, Von Scotts, for that awesome 5-star review. Let me read a comment that was left under our Us episode. This is the most recent one. It's from Renee Will, and it says, any episode that gives us a reason to hear Todd struggle to pronounce the word wolf multiple times is 5 stars from me. Someone brought this up in the Facebook group too. I think Mikey and I say woof, W-O-O-F, when we are meaning to say wolf.
Werewolf.
Like I can say it right, but
Wolf.
like I just grew up saying wolf.
Wolf.
Anyway, I will take your pronunciation correction under advisement, but I guarantee you I'll continue saying it wrong the rest of my life until I die. But I appreciate the comment. If you want to have me read your Spotify comment or Mikey read your review, leave us one of those things and we will do that for you. So guys, if you like this show but want to hear this power throuple on another movie review show about romance and romantic comedies, check out Romancing the Pod, where Mikey, Paige, and I break down and make fun of romantic movies. It's a lot of fun, guys. Check it out. If you want to follow us on social, please do. We are at Horror Virgin or online at horrorvirgin.com. If you want to follow us all individually, you can do that as well. Paige is at Paige Wesley on Twitter or Rampage Wesley everywhere else, including TikTok. Mikey is at mrandolph24 and I am at Todd J. Awesome. If you like the show so much and you want to help financially support it, please do by going to patreon.com/horrorvirgin, where you can get a lot of great levels and a lot of great stuff like bonus episodes, director's cut episodes where they're a little bit longer and you get them actually a day earlier than the regular feed drop. We do a lot of great things like listener requests and stuff like that. So guys, check out the Patreon and help support the show.
If you want to financially support me, but not Todd, just look me up on Venmo.
If you can't financially support the show, that's understandable. That's fine. But if you want to hang out with us on the daily, join the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/horrorvirgin. We also link it like once a week, so just find it there and join the awesome Facebook group. Literally, we're in there talking every day. It's awesome. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
And if you want to check out our Twitch stream, we're at twitch.tv/Todd Awesome, where we will be playing horror video games. So if you have always wondered what it would be like to watch me get scared, you can now do that on Twitch while I play these horror games. It's twitch.tv/Todd Awesome, guys. Check it out. It's a lot of fun for you. Not a lot of fun for me. This episode was brought to you by Tia, and Tia's teenager's been just really driving her crazy. So how is Tia's teenager driving her crazy this week, guys?
She's been taking that mushroom soup.
She's been drinking that mushroom tea, baby. Now, this episode was also brought to you by Jonathan, and Jonathan wants me to make you watch a video. So I'm going to do that right now by stealing your screens and making you watch this TikTok he sent us. This is called Max Verstappen Reacts to a Drone Following His Practice Lap. Now, if you've watched the Netflix show about F1, you also have recently gotten into F1 like I have. But it's a really good show and makes you actually give a shit who Max Verstappen is, who is one of the best drivers in Formula One right now. This looks super dangerous, though. He's going 160 on a rained-on track. It's wet. I would not want to go that fast at all. Oh, yeah, and they're talking about how he's slipping all over the place. I'll say this, though. You gotta love the drone work that's being done here. That drone is flying very fast over that F1 car and is on him. So praise the cameraman on that one. And honestly, praise Jonathan for the support of the show. We appreciate it. We now return you to another episode of The Patreonicals.
Okay. Everybody wakes up and now they're in a Willy Wonka type environment. And they're like, oh, the trees, Natalie and Karun, they stop crying and they taste the leaves and they're all the different flavors because they're in a Willy Wonka land. And they're like, oh, wait, I thought we just escaped. And then everybody's tasting stuff.
They're like, these trees are delicious. Get some of this bark.
Yeah. Lara pops up with Sexcalibur and he uses his power glove to make the tree disappear and turn into fire. And then then they start crying again. They're like, all your family is dead. This is a simulation. So they start crying. and they're like, Laura like shoots red stuff into the power glove, and he projects it out, and then they see through the simulation where evil Matthew and Isaac are just giving them all the birds, and they're like, you will never escape. We control everything. You are dead. And then also look at Sunzi over here, and he's like a little laddie child. And then they beat him in front of the screen while everybody watches. It's just terrible. They're villains.
Clearly.
And
that sounds terrible.
Yeah. And then they're like, we can short circuit this simulation to get back to the regular simulation. And so Wes turns back into a jet ski, and then he turns over and he's like, I'm not very helpful in this situation. And then Kate touches one of the arrows of light that Aaron has, and it turns into a different color, green-ish. And then
I love that, like, that's the detail you wanted to give. The color green, not like anything else.
Allie has her legs back, and she's like, I want to fight them. Blah. And then her and Bowie's is like, welcome back, baby. And they make out. So they fire the arrow, and it's met with Jeremy's laser vision. And then Libby holds up her lightsaber in front of his laser eyes, which makes his beams like bigger. Mr. Rage Bomb throws one of his big bombs through, and then River Moon had laced that bomb with, essential oils to make it extra effective.
You see it explode, and they're like, oh, do you guys smell lavender?
Vixen Avery shoots her big-ass laser gun at it.
Nice.
While Edward hit that bomb with his computer hammer to get it over there. And then what they did was... And then Madeline's just doing cartwheels around them because she has nothing to do in this episode. So then that big explosion rips through the simulation, and they're back in regular Tronville, and the men comes down, but this time he looks like T9000s, T800s, whatever, T1000s, the original robots. And he multiplies all around them, and he's like, I've got to bring some of you in. The bosses want you guys to stop doing this. It's really annoying. And that's the end of the episode.
I like how the bosses were like, hey, can we go, like, get them out of this? This storyline's getting, like, really repetitive. Go, go, go.
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to wait till next week to see if they do on another episode of the Patreonicals.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd.
Keep it ookie spooky.
Yeah.
Have a great week.
Bye. This movie proves that you should believe all women.